Welcome back from the break, everybody. You're now watching Game Masters here on the GDQ Hotfix, and I'm your host, Kiara_TV. Hope y'all enjoyed the classic Resident Evil and Silent Hill runs before this. Those were awesome. But we have something now completely different. You're not into scary games. We have some randomizer action with Final Fantasy IV free enterprise, and it really is amazing how much can be done with this randomizer and how many different directions depending on the seed flags that you use to generate the seed, just how completely different the experience can be. Now, before we get into the runs themselves, I want to remind everybody that GDQ 2025 will be live from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania from January 5th through the 12th. Registration and hotel booking are now open, so visit gamesdonequick.com and check the GDQ 2025 important dates section to learn more. And the GDQ 2025 schedule is now out. So go to gamesdonequick.com/schedule to check it out and let us know what you're most excited to see. The second submission period for games released after September 6th, that's this year, not any September 6th, September 6th, 2024, will be opening up this Friday, November 15th to Thursday, November 21st. You got a week to get some, brand new speedruns in if you have one you would love to showcase for the events. But without further ado, I am joined by an entire squad of absolutely incredible Final Fantasy IV free enterprise players. But the star of the show for this first segment is none other than Tall Grant. Tall Grant, how are you doing?
Hi, Kiara. I'm doing wonderfully tonight. I hope you are doing just as well.
I'm super happy to have you here.
Well, good. And I brought along a couple of friends of mine from the free enterprise community, so if you don't mind, I'd love to introduce who we've got hanging out for us tonight before I talk a little bit about what we're going to be doing.
We got some awesome people in here, Chad.
Well, we'll start with the long-standing queen of the pink puffs, Asuka, who likes to shepherd, as we know them, our new players we like to refer to as Pink Puff after one of the enemies in Final Fantasy. And Asuka shepherds the club in the free enterprise community for the ones that are learning and coming along. We have the always elite and always entertaining Tybalt the Gambler, who is a 5-year member of the community and kind of a pillar of it now because he's been around for such a long time and is quite the runner. And the ZZ6 tournament runner-up, all-around good guy and handsome man, John Burkett.
What are you trying to run?
Hello.
I try.
All right, that's awesome. Yeah, they're going to keep you up to date. So myself, I've never done a free enterprise run myself. I've seen a couple people do them. They're always so fascinating. I was like, what is my first reaction to free enterprise was free enterprise, isn't that a business term or something? It was oh my gosh, it's the airship. As soon as I figured that out, I was like, oh my goodness, it's because you get the enterprise for free and it's there, you get to go around and it's so awesome. So I'm probably even less than a pink puff at this point.
Well, you can see the science fiction love is there by the folks who programmed this randomizer. This randomizer was made by a gentleman named Boardface back in the day, but even going back to the English translation of Final Fantasy IV, which was Final Fantasy II back then, the two airships are named Enterprise, which is obviously the Star Trek reference. The other airship you can see an objective for on my screen is the Falcon, and that's an obvious Star Wars reference.
Yep, sure is.
But it's free enterprise because the idea of this randomizer is it kind of opens up the world for you at the beginning by giving you access to that airship in the game. And in most Final Fantasy games, you have to wait a little while before you get that. But in this case, you have some freedom to go everywhere. But free enterprise is neat because it kind of looks at the plot critical items. It calls them key items and kind of makes those the objectives for what you're looking for in the game, where you have to search out and find those critical items to get access to areas and advance the story. And the ultimate of those items is usually the crystal, which lets you go fight the final boss. However, this flag set we're going to play with today is a little bit different. This one's just given us a list of objectives and things that we have to do, and as soon as we accomplish all of those, we win the seed and the run is over. And if you're seeing my screen right now, you will see that we have 5 objectives to do tonight, and we have to do all of them. And that's to conquer the vanilla Murasame altar, which is up on the moon. We have to forge the legend sword with adamant rock, which will make a neat item. We have to trade away the pink tail to the tail collector. We have to cure the fever using the sand ruby. And we have to launch the Falcon, as we mentioned before. But so I will be going on a hunt. There are 17 key items hidden throughout the world of free enterprise, and I have to go find them in order to do these things.
Very good. So, Tall Grant, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty.
Feeling ready to start?
I think I am. This is a fun little. This is a fast little flag set I cooked up. There's a lot of pressure to go quickly because it's going to lay. There are 17 locations that each one's going to have an item. So the world that I have to play in is a little bit limited, and the flag set is really made for me to try not to waste any time and go quickly. So I think when somebody's ready to count me in, I'd be happy to go.
Oh yes, like I'll gladly count y'all in. Let's get you going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Good luck.
All right. So in Final Fantasy, you start with 2 characters. It's Cecil and Kain. And in Free Enterprise, we randomize the characters. So you see, I'm going to start with Yong, and as a partner, we have Palom the Black Mage. We've also been given the pan, which is used to wake Yong, which is ironic since he's already in the party. We're going to have Yong meet a copy of himself down in the Sylph Cave later.
And that antlion there was kind of interesting. Normally I see him on the moon.
Now, don't confuse our young runners, Asuka. Antlion is the third boss of the game. He normally lives in Cave Antlion, and it's named after him. But because of the randomizer, it mixes up and moves all the bosses around into different locations, and it'll actually scale them up and down depending on where they go. And so we make the joke about Antlion being on the moon because while he's supposed to be a very easy to deal with boss, he can be put in places where he's rather uncomfortable to deal with, particularly if he ends up in one of the 6 lunar boss spots.
He was just on his way over to Mysidia because he came from his cave. He stopped at Baron. There's a transit between Baron and Mysidia. It's all fine. He's on his way.
So I'm just going to blame that Sid on our wonderful friend Elvin Sauer in chat who asked, where's Sid?
Yeah.
Sid there.
Yep. And again, you can see the characters are mixed up a bit. They're going to come into the party exactly the way they come in on the base game, with one exception. We have them set based on our flag set here to strip most of the gear off of them. So they are going to be with a really crummy starting weapon and not much else. And it's going to be up to me to go find gear to get them equipped.
It's worth noting that, Grant, you have free characters on, and we don't have any earned characters. So you're about to go ahead and find your 5th character of 7 possible, but once you see your 7 choices, that's it. You're going to have to choose your party pretty quickly.
Oh, then that you don't switch parties. Like you pick early. Like this literally is what we're taking through the entire season.
Well, we do have a little bit of flexibility. The 2 characters, we're going to have 7 characters we're going to see total, and the 2 that we reject, because we can take 5 in the party, will go to a special spot called the Tower of Wishes. And if you want to take the time to go inside the Tower of Wishes, you can go in there and swap out a character for someone else that's there, which can be nice. But everything takes time. Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Grant, remind me, who's your favorite character?
My favorite character is Kain, the Dragoon, and he has just appeared here.
Cool,
And who is that? Yeah.
He is very fast, and we'll hope he doesn't get crowded out of the party. Unfortunately, I will tell you, this flag set is designed to minimize how much you can grind. That's going and just fighting random enemies to go up something. We actually have random encounters turned off, and that's something you want because we're designed so that random encounters won't actually give you any experience. Because of that, though, a character like Yong, who requires levels before he becomes really effective and doesn't really benefit from getting gear, is not really a good character.
Gotcha.
And so for that reason, he is probably going to be jettisoned right now.
So you haven't gotten
Rip
a...
Lasted a good 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It was a good run.
Be the best you could. So you haven't gotten too much very powerful gear. What is your plan for looting to get some... Because you said yourself, right? They're stripped down at the beginning, so... Where are we going to find some goodies for these characters?
Well, for everybody who came in here, Edge joins your party very late in the game in basic Final Fantasy IV, and so he comes in relatively powerful, and he'll have access to ninja magic and a few other things that are going to make him a really good character for me. So we're going to go ahead and roll with him and let him do a couple of Edge tricks to get through a couple of real easy low hit point bosses at the beginning. I'm hoping that along the way I'm going to pick up something useful for him. That boomerang is actually a very nice item, which I'm sure you can explain. But if I don't find anything, I've got a backup plan of Evelyn Castle to go look at for loot. But Tybalt, you might want to, if you could explain for the people, there's a reason why we like the boomerangs.
Yeah, so the reason why we like boomerangs or any ranged weapon is that as you notice, when we go into the first fight here, our party members have a front row and a back row. Nice thing is, front row, you do full damage. You're in the front row, but you're also going to take full damage from the enemy when it comes to physical. Now, in your back row, you take half damage, but you also do half damage with physical attacks. However, if you have a ranged weapon like a boomerang or a bow and arrow, you get what's known as the back row flag. So you get able to do full damage from the back row. However, there's a bit of a glitch with this, is that it turns the flag on, but doesn't turn it off. So you can equip your party member with a ranged weapon, and they'll just always do back row damage, and always be in the front, but take half damage in the back. So it's a way that you can back row your edge, give them some really nice, katana swords, long swords, to be able to do full damage from the back row, while taking less damage, because he can be a little squishy.
Yep. And it's nice because this game, we like to say, is a very, very, very well-programmed game with absolutely, nothing wrong or goofy about how it works.
Only features, no bugs.
That's right. All right, so I have not found what I would consider great loot. So we're going to come here to Eblan Castle. Now, this could be a scary location because 3 of the chests in this castle have monsters in them that you have to fight. But we have put on a special flag. Normally they'd be all mixed up together and you wouldn't know where anything is. But in this case, they are put in the same locations they are in the vanilla game. And since I know exactly where they are, if I loot carefully, I can just skip them and get all the goodies in here. Now,
you and I would never open the wrong chest by accident, right? We wouldn't do that. We're pros.
I certainly didn't do that last week.
Of course not.
No, never.
No, never.
Even when the randomize you up with the same one. No,
right.
No.
Now, so we're looking for some goodies to make Edge a little better because he has some basic weapons. And that Artemis bow is quite a good weapon, especially for the Cid we have in our party. That is actually the best bow in the game. And Cid's biggest penalty, he actually has a big ball of hit points. He can take a lot of damage. He can wear a lot of heavy armor. He is just super slow. But an item like the Artemis bow will make him quite a bit faster and could make him a pretty good source of damage as we work our way through here.
Yep. Every item in this game has a tier attached to it. The treasure settings that we have here are called T Wildish, which, very long story short, means you can get some pretty good loot if you know where to go. An Artie bow is tier 6, which is one of the higher end items, and Grant is 100% correct. It's very powerful, and it gives a plus 10 agility, which makes Cid actually a viable character in the long run.
All right.
I see that defense sword, and that makes that Kane really
that
happy right now.
That defense sword is one of the best weapons outside the Super Forge for Kane, so that's going to make him quite a good character. All right, well, so we are going to go do one other fun thing. In the base game, if you visit Edward after he is injured in the Leviathan attack, you will find him here in Troya, and he'll give you the Twin Harp so you can do Cave Magnus. Now, Edward will have something here for us because we have our free key item turned on. So we'll see what kind of free gift he gives me, and we'll hope I didn't waste a bunch of time if it's the Earth Crystal. It is the Earth Crystal.
So I'm seeing here a question here in chat, actually. It's like, why aren't we running into, attacks like every 4 steps? And so with this randomizer, we have a couple different flags revolved around encounters. We have, I believe you said it was set for a toggle right now, so we can turn them on or off if we want to. There's a couple others where it's dangerous encounters where only you get back attacks or pincers, which is more the rarer style of random encounters you can get. But generally, we just have them turned off. And with this particular flag set, we get no experience for those. So there's really no incentive to turn them on.
The most terrible boss in the entire game right now, the inventory boss.
Bless the inventory boss.
I have looted a little bit too much, and I have filled my inventory. And since I'm lazy and I don't want to go sell everything, we're just going to clear out some space.
We make jokes about the inventory boss, but it can really be a very troubling thing. If you hear the little whoop sound that is happening sometimes, Grant is using the discard rather. I'm on Discord. He is discarding the items, which can help from them coming into your inventory. With really high-end racers like Grant, every second matters. And so taking time to go into your inventory and sort everything out is time that you don't really want to spend. So managing your inventory when you get to be at a competitive level like Grant becomes a very critical part of the run. So the inventory boss is frustrating, and Grant did a very nice job handling it with those discards moving forward. Well,
the bad news is the only weapon we found for Edge was going to be a brand new longsword, which is not terrible, but there are better weapons for him. But the good news for us is we found some very wonderful items for Kain. In fact, Kain has 2 great items in the base game that are considered endgame for him. One of them is the white spear, and the other is the defense sword. And we happen to have both of them, so we can do a lot of things with it. But we're going to go ahead and take on a little bit of a more challenging boss here, because I think we can. So this is actually 2 bosses in one. This is a karate, which is what we call French vanilla, because karate normally lives at this spot, but in the second boss slot.
I'll never get tired of that term. I'm so happy that it's something that has really caught on in the broader randomizer sense, where you get something that's kind of close to where it should be, and it's French vanilla versus regular vanilla. It's like, I don't know what contributed to that, but it will never cease to be funny.
So the other great thing that we found in that treasury was a lot of light swords, and the only person who can use the light sword is Cecil, who we have not seen and may not be in this seed. There's only going to be 7 characters, and we've seen 6 of them so far. But we can throw things like that light sword at this D-Mist and hopefully save a little time in this fight.
You all might be wondering about the pig, right? There's just a little piggy sitting there having a drink at the bar. It might be confusing. With this particular flag set that Grant has come up with, there are no earned characters. So that pig that was there is a placeholder for a character that would have been there, as we have half a forge, very exciting. So throughout the game, when you come across a check where in a different flag set you would get a character, it's been replaced with a piggy. As time goes on, we're going to talk about piggy meta, because believe it or not, the people that have figured out this randomizer so well, the color of the ears is directly related to the boss that you're going to go ahead and fight in that spot. So if Grant ends up doing the Tower of Zot, because he does have the Earth Crystal, which we should probably put on the tracker at some point, we'll talk about how we can guess at what the boss will be based off of the color of the pig's ears. Because again, this is a perfect randomizer with absolutely no bugs and only features.
It's not so much a bug, it's just a limitation of the colors is what it ends up being. So it references a color that would normally be in that boss spot. So it's taking that boss sprite and using it in the colors from the pig.
So there is one other item I should mention here. Our last character, by the way, is going to be here. This is normally where you would see Tella for the second time. We'll keep that crystal hat just in case it's Cecil. But this is a serviceable party like we have here, and we don't get to work with the guy if we don't have it, and that'll be all right. There is the guy, in fact. And this, unfortunately, can lead to a lot of unpleasant decisions, but we are going to upset our friend Elvin Saro and get rid of Sid.
The reason that some people wonder why we were calling Cecil the guy, in the vanilla game, the entire story revolves around Cecil. So as it goes in normal fashion, the hero in a Final Fantasy game is super powerful. He gets all the best weapons and can basically solve the world if he really wants to. So we just call him the guy.
Yep. But in order for us to be making good use of Cecil, we have to get him turned into a paladin. And to do that, we must get through this Odin fight, which I don't think is going to be too much trouble for us.
The one thing that Grant's doing right now is very subtle, and it's basically agility manipulation. Very long story short, the person in the center, and that's Edge, who's swinging right there. There are some times where you want someone very fast there, like Edge, so that you get a lot of turns before the boss does. And then sometimes you're going to want someone slow there. So the fact that Odin barely got to do anything at all before meeting his untimely doom at a lightning spell from the cast of a 7-year-old is all because of where Grant has set up his party.
Oh, Final Fantasy, the things you make children do.
Well, and we've found a bit of a time-wasting fight here, but gee, why is it taking so long for me to get a turn?
Yeah, what's going on?
Well, Dr. Luge is known affectionately as Dr. Dialogue because they like to do a lot of talking here. And you might think this, okay, once we get past this, it's fine. We've beaten it. But, well, There's a whole second portion to this fight where there's a little bit more dialogue after that.
Well,
You know, I almost wanted to say instead of Dr. Dialogue, we should call him Billy Bays.
well, it also looks to me like everything is backward here.
This is also true. So this particular boss fight, it's pretty unique in that it is a back attack fight. So little manipulation that Tall Grant did beforehand was swap the characters, their positions, be it front or back.
It's almost as if I knew.
It's all right. It's like you've played this once or
Are we
twice.
running a spoiler log? I was not told about this. I'm sorry. I need my notes. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, I got the spoiler log right here.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah, here, let me unwrap it here.
one other thing I should mention,
right.
when we talk about the
printed it
bosses
out.
scaling, it's not that we just handed them hit points based on the spot that they're living in. What the randomizer also does, there were actual values for their magic attack, their magic defense, and such that are associated with the spots that the bosses inherit. And what that can lead to is certain bosses in certain spots can be much easier or much more difficult depending on what stats they inherited. We talked a little bit earlier about Antlion and how he's an early game boss that can be in unpleasant places. Antlion in the wrong spot can hit really, really, really hard. And so if you get him in an unpleasant moon spot and he's really fast compared to you, he will paste a underleveled or poorly geared party into jelly.
Is that someone's phone? Sorry.
So
I
let's
thought I
say,
heard something.
like, Kiara, do you enjoy very annoying bell sounds?
Depends if it's a bell sound that could benefit me or harm me. Is it good or
that
bad?
Answer depends. That answer depends on who you ask within the free enterprise community.
Okay, well, I'm going to ask you, Asuka. Is it good or bad?
It's a
effect of the
fantastic
bell.
sound.
All right, then I'm
Absolutely
happy.
fantastic
I'm happy about it.
So the reason we got that is because during that fight, Dr. Luge poisoned the entire party. That sound is the sound of the entire party taking damage during the fight.
Oh, Bigan.
Well, we're going to do a little ninja razzle dazzle.
We can do some Hygen, and then after the Soothing
arms.
King, we can do a little bit of a Hygen.
A Bigan.
Those poor
Oh,
arms.
good. And Cecil came back road.
Ooh, nice. Yeah, and you notice Cecil now looks very different than what he did when he entered this fight. It's during this fight that he lets go of the Dark Knight past, becomes a paladin, and now gets to use a lot more shinier and more powerful equipment that we've just happened to pick up a lot of.
Yes, we did. And in fact, we're going to go try and get a little bit better. So one of the famous sayings about Cecil, we call him the guy. And what we like to say is, if you have the guy, you should go get him the thing. The best weapons in the game are designed for Cecil and only for Cecil. And Free Enterprise knows what those good weapons are and classifies them as hard to get loot. And in fact, there's a place where we have a decent shot of picking one of them up, and that's when we fight a monster box, say in Castle Eblin, where we went earlier. So what we're going to do now, since I've gambled and had it pay off for me, is head over to Castle Eblin and go get that. There's one other neat side effect that's going to happen here. When Cecil becomes a paladin, he resets to level 1. He is a very low-level character, which, granted, he's still Cecil and he's still awesome, particularly because I have his best armor sitting right here waiting for him. But we can get him some levels really quickly by fighting a monster. The stuff that prevents him from having big levels will not prevent him from getting benefits in this kind of thing, from fighting a monster in a box. So we're going to take one or two of these out and see if we can be a little bit more fortunate in finding what we want. And then Cecil will be boss, and we'll hopefully go wreck the seed. And I walked right past it. You have to take the secret passage.
I want to point out a couple things in chat. Excalibur is one of our options. There are 2 tier 8 items that we have available to us in this flag set. One is Excalibur, and the other one is the Crystal Sword. Either one would give Grant a tremendous amount of power. And another comment in chat about running to Wyvern who can murder you at any spot. That's very, very true. With this randomizer, the ability for customization is fantastic. One of the customizable options that we have is to change what Wyvern does. One of them, we turn Wyvern into Wyburn, and it won't do anything at the very beginning of the fight. Or it'll change into a Witchvern, where it can do lots of things. It can cast white, it can explode, it can run away, it can charm you. And it's all part of the fun with the randomizer. So if you're new to Free Enterprise, or if you want to come check it out, our wiki and our website and our Discord community is just fantastic and can help with all those fun things.
What would that website be?
That would be ff4fe.com.
ff4fe.com.
Look at us, Oscar.
There
Look
you
at
go,
us.
ff4fe.com.
All right.
Plug.
We're the Palom and Porum of this.
What I heard is I'm young. That's what I heard. I heard that I am not.
Right.
I'm not 4
That's
years
something
old.
I haven't heard in a long time.
And there, I'll plug the Discord out in chat.
All right.
And actually, there was a question that something that you might want to talk a little bit about Telegram with. They noticed that you had a crystal helmet in your inventory, but you chose to put on the bandana.
Well,
Why would that be for those that might not kind of see that from a racing
well, the
perspective?
crystal helmet is a fantastic item. It has very, very high defense for Cecil, but the bandana has a bonus to one of his stats, and that stat is strength. By putting the bandana on Cecil, I'm going to guarantee that, well, not guarantee, but I'm going to allow Cecil to hit at a much higher damage rate. And so we're going to hope that we can put a big weapon on him and do some damage. However, we're doing a little low rolling in this fight instead, so it's being a little bit rough on us. But Ed should be able to finish things out here, though.
So the easiest way to explain some of the stats here for in most Final Fantasies, think of it like D&D. Like every so many levels, you get as many multipliers or extra dice rolls for damage calculation.
Gotcha.
So when you hit that next breakpoint, you're getting another dice roll to do another 200 damage, another 100 damage
is
based
that
on that
really?
dice roll. Yeah.
Dang, that's neat. I love, kind of like decompiling the combat systems.
Well,
And it's like every 8 strength for Cecil, but something like Young, it's actually it's 16 for agility. I think it's 8 for every strength.
well, in a minute,
Or
I
8
will.
strength to get a
In
multiplier.
a minute, I will be able to show off. We found one of the 2 big holy swords for Cecil. We found the lesser of them, the Excalibur, but that's more than enough. So we are going to drop this magma key in this deep well and listen for it to hit the bottom.
Well, that's gone.
Because, as you know,
that's like
to
1,000 feet deep at that point.
well, I mean, you would naturally think if you throw a key into a well, a very common, normal, everyday thing would happen, like a mountain range opens up
Wait.
to a giant hole underground.
Wait, whoa, hold on. Okay, step back. You're telling me you threw
might
a
want to-
sword
that's
down
not
a well, and then it blew up
That's
the
not an
mountain.
OSHA-approved well.
Was that a load-bearing well right there for the entire mountain? That's the
Lassie
central
was so
support
upset about
structure.
Kimmy because he knew what could happen. Bork, right? So,
All right, so
There's that pothole they were warning us about.
So we're going to talk a little bit about free enterprise strategy and a gamble I made that paid off. Very early on, we found the pan. And the pan is an item that's used to revive Yong when you find him here in the Fey March. His wife, you basically go up, visit his wife, tell him he survived and he's down here, but he's in a coma, and she sends you with the pan to go wake him up. And I'm not going to expand on that anymore. But because the randomizer handed me the pan, I thought, I can save a number of trips by not visiting his wife. And if I can get underground, then I can just go do that check in one fell swoop and save a bunch of time. And lo and behold, we found our magma key. And we're able to come down here and see Yong, who will give us something neat. Watch him hand me a crystal sword. All the work to get the Excal, he's going to make it moot. Crystal ring. I was close. But now when I go back up top, I can go to Fabul, where Yong's from, where his wife is living, talk to her to let her know Yong's down here, and then give the pan back to her because I had it all along. And
No, it should be noted in this flag set that with the key item checks, since there is a free key item with, as we call them, bedward, there is one key item check that we call a zonk. And that means you don't get a key item, you just get insert item here, in this case, the crystal ring. Now, if you turned off the free key item, at that point, now we're playing a little bit more with fire, so we're getting key items pretty much everywhere.
Well, the other thing with this flag says we don't have the other key item flags where it's the moon and the Fey March.
Speaking
Or
of the
summon.
moon.
So what we mean by that is, so the 2 monsters that are down here, which is normally going to be Leviathan and Azura, you fight them in vanilla, you get their summons. In the randomizer, if you have the summon flag on for key items, you can actually get a key item from there And then with the darkness crystal we got here, if you go to the moon, every single spot in there would also have a chance of getting you a key item with the moon flag on. So we can take those 16 items and spread them across 50 checks to really make it hunt fun.
I think total checks, if you don't have the monster boxes as checks, and that is also an option, I think it's 34 checks.
Hey, Grant, what'd you just drink?
Well, that's a pot of healing, but we like to, in the community, refer to that as the dwarf toilet. All right.
Wait,
Gross.
what?
It's fine. It's fine.
No.
If you have dogs,
I need to know more
if you have
about
dogs,
this.
you understand. All right, so let me show you.
You can't drop that and not give me an answer. Okay, this is my show, dang it.
So
I demand answers.
if you look right here, this shows Cecil's stats, and his attack power is 111 with this light sword, which is one of his better-ish weapons. Let me show you why I want the Excalibur. That's 173. That is a 50% increase in damage just by getting this big sword, and means Cecil's going to hit really hard. I'm going to make one other change with him here, if I can get my inventory cleaned up a little bit here.
And Grant, could you show something else also? What you're also not seeing is like this is showing you the vanilla way that you see the equipment. But if you actually tap select on your controller, you can actually see the stats that your weapons or armor are actually giving you. That is something that the randomizer has added into the game, as well as who can actually equip that piece.
And that's
gear.
actually really nice.
So if you don't know everything, you have it there available.
And that's really nice information if you're a new runner or you're a new player to this. Even if you did, we have a couple people who became championship level runners in this who never actually played original Final Fantasy II or one of the Final Fantasy IV remakes before they touched the randomizer. All right. That person dancing in the background is the Leviathan Summon boss. There are two bosses at Dwarf Castle, and it's a little nerve-wracking because you don't get to see them before you step in. You will notice, though, I made one other little change to my gear. Cecil had crystal armor. It is his strongest personal armor in the game outside the fabled adamant armor. And for some reason, I took it off of him.
Why, Grant, I believe that you're going to use the Berserk spell. Berserk is quite broken in this game. This is, I want to say it's the first Final Fantasy game to use like an ATB battle system of like ticks to go ahead and kind of keep track of who gets what turn. And while we can't see the bar moving, it's cooking. And very long story short, Berserk allows us to get a lot of attacks off and kind of use that ATB system to our advantage and get more attacks than we would normally get.
Yeah, you're exactly right on. As the first iteration of the ATB system is in this Final Fantasy. And for what we mean by the ATB system, if you look at like Final Fantasy VI or Final Fantasy VII, that bar that's just progressively increasing and then your turn comes up, that bar is actually hidden in this one, but it still uses a little bit of the agility from your hero in vanilla being Cecil. In the randomizer, we have a couple different flags that can change that around. With the flags that we have right now, it is going to be the center characters. Whoever's in the center slot, everything's going to be based on that character's agility. And so when you get more knowledge with the game, you can kind of manipulate your turn in order to always be the same because you've done the math and you know who's going to go when.
All right, incoming moon boss.
That's a little bit agility.
Speaking of knowing who's coming next, anytime you have a moon boss, in this case Pale Dim, with the exception of Bahamut, will show up as a sparkle. So when you see that sparkle, you know it's going to be within a specific set of bosses, none of which are terribly fun. Some are a little bit easier to deal with than others, and then there's Zogo Pogo. But in this case, Pale Dim's pretty straightforward. It is the weakest of the noodles, in my personal opinion, but does do the wonderful. Well, I saw Tybalt, you said it in chat. What are you saying by doing all the doots?
So with Pale Dim here, as you notice, every single time that we're taking a swing at him, he's casting slow on us. And one of our community members of JMAC just had a little fun doing a doot. But as I see Kiara here yelling at chat, needs to know about the dwarf.
You keep
toilet.
dodging my question. You're trying to keep distracting, keep the conversation. I need answers.
We're not dodging it. We're flushing it away.
I think, Kiara, it's called that
It could
because
have been a number one priority. It could have been a number two. I mean, I don't know. It could be either one.
I think the reason it got that moniker is it's in a cave directly at the bottom of Dwarf Castle, and it's kept right by the exit in its own room completely by itself. I mean, what else could it be?
Okay.
Yeah. One of the community members, Martin Broadcloak, came up was like, you're going to go there because it's just way off in the side. Yeah, it's always just the dwarf toilet because why would you put that, pot of water way away from everything else. There's no other reason
So
That is a conveniently
that
timed
is a greatly
adamant rock
timed
there.
rock, and we can route that right in. So one other...
Where do you go to what town?
We go to Kokkol's Forge. This is called Kokkol Express. It's the name of the flag set, and that's because we are always required to forge. And I made a couple guarded comments. Final Fantasy IV Advance, which was on the Game Boy originally, had some really neat extra weapons that you could get for every... I'll take that. Had some really neat weapons for everybody in the game. And we've actually got an option where you can have what's called a Supersmith, and this actually has a special flag off of one of our forks called Playable Supersmith. Kokkol's going to make one of those items for us. It's going to be for one of the 7 characters in the seed, and we're not going to know which one until about 3 seconds from now. Oh, baby.
Ooh.
Let's go.
Kane fans rejoice.
So,
I get it. I get it.
So you thought Cecil goes burr.
I
Kane just said
understand why that's
bet.
Kane's.
that is Kane's weapon, and it's actually better than the X-Cal. Kane... We're going to...
Kane
yeah,
go
we're just
burr
gonna-
now.
So you're saying things are looking up.
Oh, yeah.
Things are looking tall, Grant, today.
Once you find your power, this is a lot of fun. Some of the free enterprise flag sets let you get power fairly quickly. This one can if you loot well enough. And once that happens, you are money. All right. So anyway, that is the first also of our 5 objectives was to get the forge done. So we are looking for a couple more things. We need to get the hook. We need to get the pink tail. We need to get the sand ruby. And I think if we get those 3 things, we can go finish the game. But at this point, we're not stopping for anything or anybody.
Except Yang's wife.
Well, there's the hook,
Oh, there's the hook.
and there's the harp. Well, we're perfectly positioned, and half the party is dead, and the other half likes to equip metal things. So let's go have some fun with the harp. Because it's not just the gear. The shops, which we're also ignoring for interesting reasons we'll talk about in a minute. It's not just the gear, the shops, the bosses, and the characters that are randomized. We find a lot of other fun random things and Easter eggs to slip into a seed that even a runner that's played a bunch like me can sometimes be surprised by. All right,
I love that.
Just for grins, Kane was at 122 at pack power, Cecil was at 173, and now he's at 247.
And it's not just the power, his vitality, his agility.
Move over, Cecil.
Yeah.
Mind you,
Yeah,
that
like-
number maxes out at 256.
Kane legitimately said bet.
Yeah, so Kane's about to be a very, very bad man.
Oh, he's bad throughout the game, though. I'm sad that's.
Oh,
Yeah, is
I
it
feel like you need to be
evil?
more.
sir,
clear on
I'm
the
insulted.
game.
I challenge you,
Anti-hero.
sir. I'm not going to stand for that.
Are you gonna jump?
Uh-oh.
Did I save? Probably worth doing that just in case there's garbage here.
So let's talk about the concept of saving in free enterprise when it comes to races. If you do the free enterprise randomizer and you are racing, save your game on occasion. Not that some of us in this chat right now have learned the hard
Yeah,
way.
especially...
Stop
and have
calling
lost
me
a lot of
out.
time. I've done it too, not nearly as bad as you.
Look, I've lost 2 tournament races because of not saving, okay? A 15-minute lead, and I lost a race by 20 minutes. So I have learned to save quite often.
Yeah, save early, save
I
often.
still forget.
In fact, we actually, one of the treasured emotes from the Free Enterprise channel is the save space icon, just because it is kind of... There's that temptation to save a half a second by not saving, and it very rarely do you lose the race by half a second. But 7 or 8 minutes, yeah, you could totally do that. Oh no, we died.
So real quick, y'all are about to get a random game music. It's not the generic little harp ditty that goes through. I'm a music teacher, I can say that. We have an incredible community of people that have gone through and put several hundred different tunes in here. So it's become tradition for the commentary team to be nice and quiet so you all can enjoy the tunes, enjoy the music. And half the fun is finding out what we are about to hear. So please enjoy.
All right, and a little bit
Very
nice.
of music from Final Fantasy V.
There you go.
I believe the pool is well over 250 songs now.
Over.
Wow.
Yeah,
From
no,
like
it's
Final
not-
Fantasy
it's like
games,
500
RPGs, kind of
plus.
like whatever.
I mean, we're talking Metroid. We've got some Super Mario. We've got
Required.
all the Final Fantasy.
My practice last night had Castlevania, and I've heard from more than one Castlevania title as well.
Yeah, like one of the best ones that I know of that's from Castlevania, Bloody Tears, is amazing.
But and occasionally there are new ones that get sequenced and put into the pool, so that's always a lot of fun. Well, the good news is that had one of our required key items to win the game. Mm-hmm. That's the Sand Ruby. That's normally used to cure Rosa and make things better for her, but there's not a time pressure. There's no character we need to get there, and there's nothing we need to do other than go turn it in. So I'm going to save a little bit of time walking, and we're just going to go right up the Tower of Zot right here.
Also, with this flag set, when you turn the Sand Ruby, I'm a dad, but it's adorable. But we'll get there when we get there.
So
yeah, and so
go ahead.
Let's say that particular rendition of Final Fantasy V Deep Blue Sea was actually put in and done by our wonderful admin and community member Xenocat 823543.
Of course.
And Xenocat, she's a wonderful, wonderful person. And
Yes.
if you ever want to see,
Great runner too.
yeah, if you ever want to see the really miserable side of free enterprise, she runs a club where the seeds are designed not to tell you what's going on and to randomly pick some punishing settings without showing you what they are. She's very good. It's really fun to watch her do one of them, but not recommended for beginners.
I also wanted to add in a thought while we're going through here. Do not ever underestimate how difficult it is to get music to sound good in something like this. To go through, it takes so much custom work to get that stuff in there. The fact that there's 250 songs, like, is blowing my mind.
Oh, and we'll add another wrench into the system. It's for both the music and the Z sprites, which you won't see in this flag set, but potentially for Sumomo, is the original thought process behind them is we wanted to stay within the confines of the original hardware settings. So, like for the instance, the final boss sprites, the Z sprites, you only get 16 colors to choose from, and one of them is required to be transparent. So there are some very, very detailed Z sprites that, in theory, only have at most 15 colors. So, and the same thing applies with keeping the music within those same confines. So it's a pretty cool thought.
Hey, look, there's a sparkle.
Hey.
Didn't know about this. This is actually this is where you'd normally see Golbez. Golbez normally lives in the second dwarf castle spot, so that was actually the pale dim we fought earlier. But he is, back from the dead to cast lightning at us.
And now we get to guess the boss. Check out the ears.
The yellow ears.
We have yellow ears, so it could be a purple or a blue sprite. Because I'm a bad person, I'm gonna guess that this is the gauntlet.
Oh, please no.
Ooh. The gauntlet, yes, the gauntlet.
I'm sure it'll be
Yeah, there's a
fine. I'm sure
long
Tall Guy
delay.
can
I like
handle it.
Kanato or something.
Well, no.
Give me that gauntlet.
Gauntlet,
that's not the gauntlet.
gauntlet. That's not the
And
gauntlet.
that's a wrong input.
It's Ashura.
This is Ashura, the fun healing boss. And that's about half her health.
What we mean by gauntlet is known as the football gauntlet. So in the vanilla game, when you go to defend football, you have an encounter, there's a bit of a cutscene, another encounter, a cutscene. We've just shrunk that down into 5 encounters in a row, and there's 2 different flags for it. There is the vanilla gauntlet, so you fight the vanilla monsters from that gauntlet in the vanilla story, or we have something called alt gauntlet, and that will actually pull random encounters from the location that boss sprite is
Oh,
in.
that's cool. That's so cool.
If you are in an end game location, it's not as cool as you think it is.
It's not cool?
If you're in the audience,
No,
it's great.
Okay, look.
Yeah.
Also,
There are 2 spots in this game that really torment runners when it comes to alt gauntlet. You have the
Masamune spot?
Crystal Sword Altar and the Masamune spot. Reason being, I'll start off with the safer of the 2. You have the Masamune spot. You have to fight evil masks. They cast wall on everybody, including themselves. They reflect nuke and white at you. It's horrendous. Then you have to fight behemoths. And so you're just going evil mask, behemoth, evil mask. Then you fight some red dragons and blue dragons. Okay, so it's pretty difficult. You get into the crystal sword altar, and one of the fights is called an evil eye, which has over 25,000 HP, which is more than a normal boss has.
I want to touch on something in chat. FV has definitely changed a bunch over the past few years. I didn't hop on until about like ZZ4, so a couple years in. But I've heard fabled tales of when the flag set was very difficult to read and there were no objectives and all of that. Not only is there just so much now, but the really exciting part of kind of the future, I think, is that Free Enterprise has recently become open source. And so some of our incredible creators have done things called forks. We have a couple of, or one of them that is in this particular flag set. And the creativity of this community, the same people like Oscar was talking about that are able to go ahead and manipulate the sprites, to people like Xenocat and Coven Tunes who have done so many of our harp songs, that creativity is kind of opening the way to a whole new way to play the randomizer. So for old folk like me that grew up with this game in such a nostalgic way and get to relive it with the randomizer, it's getting like more and more life with the new forks. So it's a really exciting time for Free Enterprise right now.
And yeah,
Go ahead. No, I was just going to go more into what Johnny B was saying, but you can go ahead.
well, there's actually, because of the objectives, which the objective system came in, I guess about 3 years ago, there's a lot more opportunities to do interesting things with the flag sets, and we've got a very nice community of creative people that have come up with different things. So one of the clubs that I know that's going on right now is actually a reality show meta plot with individual seeds for the weeks of play. There's another club out there that is designed for you to do seeds in partnerships together. Of course, this is one of the clubs this is a club that I run where it's just kind of strap in and go quickly. And you see all kinds of interesting flag sets. In fact, for a while, I was experimenting with trying to interpret famous 80s movies in Free Enterprise flag sets.
Yeah, so I joined in 2020 during the football gauntlet, and that's when version 4 had came out. It was still back in 3.5 before the objective system and the really terrible to read flag set. So instead of like we have max tier 3 or T wildish and T standard, we had TG3R and -AA, and just it was really hard to read. And so when version 4.0 came out, they completely changed the structure of the flags and made them super intuitive on what they actually do. And on the Free Enterprise website, you click into a flag and it kind of explains what it actually does. In any sense.
Are you going to drink that too, Grant? Oh, that's a trash can. My fault. My bad. Sorry.
My heart for that weapon.
Sadly, one of the fun flags of Free Enterprise is the spoon is a weapon that you can get. It has 255 damage, and Final Fantasy II had one of the more interesting Japanese to English translations in it. They chose an archaic word. We'll let Johnny B have his moment here.
It's so cute. And this little piggy said thank you and went all the way home.
So back in our super serious discussion, they have a Pella, the old wizard, is mad at Edward the Bard, whose daughter ran off. His daughter ran off with Edward, and when he gets angry and lectures him, he chooses a old-fashioned word that has been slang that was in fashion in the early 1800s, and since the turn of the century to 1900, kind of fell out of use, and that's he refers to Edward as a spoony bard. Likewise, this item from Sheila, I think, was supposed to be knife, but for whatever reason got translated as spoon, and so those two items got associated. Well, the folks that put Free Enterprise together put two and two together and said, well, Edward's the weakest character in the game. We should let him equip the strong knife, especially because he has that association with spoons.
I think it was an ESRB thing, if I remember correctly, of why it was translated from knife to spoon instead. Because essentially she's there.
I believe it.
Yeah, she's sitting. Sheila's in there cooking onions, and she's crying. When you go to talk to her after you wake up young, she's crying. It's like, no, it's the onions I'm cooking. She hands you the spoon as a reward. The only thing you do in the vanilla game is just dart it and based on some other calculations for the game, it'll do quad 9 damage to anything you dart it at.
Well, so we are at an interesting location. If you remember before, we made the ground shake and blow up because we dropped the magma key down the well. There are actually 2 ways to get underground during Final Fantasy IV. The second is what we affectionately call the hook route. And as you'll notice when I came here, I used the hook to carry the hovercraft over. Normally, if you have the magma key, you would not go down the hook route because the boss here, you have a much longer walk for one thing. And the other thing is you have to fight 2 bosses at the bottom, which, if you're not prepared, can be quite unpleasant. I'm not too worried with Super Cane right now. But one of my objectives for this run is to launch the Falcon, which occurs after you complete the hook route. So, since I need to go underground to do my next check, we're just going to do this now.
Also, you have a free
And
boss.
the first boss spot on this was the King Queen of Evelyn. And again, in vanilla, it's a scripted boss fight. But certain bosses, depending on your party, bosses that are very physically powerful, like Antlion, for instance, or Baigen, as we saw earlier, they will hurt you a lot here in this spot. But again, with Super Cane, did you just
I
get
did.
both? Okay, I'm done.
There are 2
Goodbye.
bosses with the bluish guard sprite. However, these guys are hitting quite hard.
Yeah, for
Now,
whatever reason.
when you look at these are mages, mind you, Chad.
Ouch. That's a
Standard
problem.
mages.
You still got that hourglass, right?
I do. And I might just use it to make sure nothing goes bad here. Yeah, they're going to make it difficult, aren't they?
Just a
That
little.
seemed personal on that forum. I don't know. The size of
Well,
it.
well, okay.
Right in the head.
So,
Like a 7-year-old kid, man. Good lord.
So that's what we meant by things can hit really hard. The easiest way to kind of discern from that is something that would just normally cast magic on you or not actually physically hit you in its fight, like you take Leviathan, for example, down in the Fame Arch. All he does is cast Ice 2 and a couple waves that do percentage-based damage. He doesn't actually physically hit you. However, they decided to code that spot to have a very, very high physical attack. For whatever reason. Don't know. So, if you have a physical in that, it's a very punchy spot.
Now, this fight, there's actually 2 ways of defeating this fight. It's one, just take out everybody, or specifically target the officer. Because without the officer, the 3 soldiers, well, they don't know what to do. So they attack each other. We pretty much could use confusion on them, inadvertently.
Yeah, the Baron military is not very adequate without the hierarchy.
They just have a keen sense of nobility, I think, when things go wrong. Some might say. Me, I'm the one.
But we do
I'm
have
the
a
son.
quack kid.
the Quack Kid needed a little bit more power than that. He just barely missed killing these 2 guys.
Now, what's funny is where if you kill the officer, the 3 soldiers don't know what to do. Well, if you defeat the 3 soldiers, the officer doesn't know what to do.
Oh, he knows exactly what to do.
He goes away.
All right, so we are hunting. We are down to 5 key items left in the seed. We have not seen the Crystal, which in a big game would let you fight Zeromus. In this game, it's kind of a worthless check for us. We have not seen the package, which you use to burn down the Village of Mist, and is, again, useless to us. We have not seen the Rat Tail. We have not seen the Sealed Cave key, which is the Luca key, and we have not seen the Pink Tail, which is what we're looking for. Oh, that's gross.
Oh, I
That's
missed that. What was
Val
that?
That's Val.
Oh, have fun.
Well, I have...
I'm
What are
having
you doing?
fun.
You
watching.
have
I have Kane and I have Excal
so
Cecil. I'm not terribly worried.
yeah, that's fine.
So chat, type 1. I always do this once a show. Type 1 if you are enjoying the Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise. Make sure you are following Tall Grant here, who I imagine you do this quite often. So
Yeah, I do. I run this club that does this flag set for racing, and one other. They're actually asynchronous clubs, so they let people come in, play on their own time, and just post times, chat about what we came across, how to get better, things like that.
And I'm going to talk about Grant's stream a little bit because he's too humble to go ahead and do so. Grant's stream is glorious. He's put a lot of work into it. There are a lot of fun commands. You can bomb Damsian Castle. You can steal the Darkness Crystal. You can steal the crystal in Dwarf Castle. You can go ahead and have the Chocobo song play. If you sub to him playing trombone, amazing trombone player, a rendition of him playing tunes can go ahead and go through, of him playing the victory. You can have him sing. You can have a Luge dance party. I cannot recommend enough hopping into Grant's channel. He's become a real leader of our community, and his stream is just incredibly fun.
Thank you, John. That's very kind of you to say.
If you all got a moment, by all means, you should definitely hop in there. It's a good time.
So I specifically was talking pre-stream about this boss being awful in this location if you're not prepared. However, I think we are going to be fairly well prepared for this. But just to make sure, because we did get hit around a little bit, let's let Porm do a little work. Make sure we're kind of topped off enough, and we'll get to work on this thing.
Good luck.
Thank you. It with the weaponry we have, it shouldn't be a problem. But it's once again trading time for what we want to do here. But we're going to hope that the Luca key is buried behind that rat tail, and we don't have to do the sealed cave. I think that's about the only check we can get out of doing at this point.
Yeah, there are certain bosses that when you see their sprites, there's just this clenching of your heart knowing that you are in for a rough ride. Seeing Valvalis in certain spots is one of those times where you are just glaring at the seed generator. But so we have our boy Kane, and Valvalis right now is in that tornado that is basically impenetrable by magic.
There is no magic defense at this spot, though. Fun fact.
This is true. However, Kane does this wonderful thing called jump. He's a dragoon, and when he jumps onto Valvalis, that disrupts the tornado, and she goes back into this form. Now, without Kane in certain setups, Val just gets scary because there's not much you can do aside from very slowly chip away damage from her.
Or if you Berserk Kane, he won't get to jump to get her out of that. But seeing as he's hitting for about 5,000 a go, this isn't going to last.
Wait, so hold on. So
Perks of the Able.
If you just get rid of all the hit points, the boss goes away?
Yes, it's the secret sauce.
Fancy that.
Wow, that's a good strat, bro.
Today I learned.
There's the pink tail. We are in go mode, folks.
Ooh,
Go mode, baby.
nice.
All right.
Ooh, GG.
Now, explain to people what you mean by go mode, especially those that might not be accustomed to
We
randomizers.
showed at the beginning of the game there were 5 objectives on screen. As soon as we have enough items in our possession to complete all of those objectives, we say we're in go mode. Because at this point, we have everything we need to go finish the seed, and all that's left for us is to go do it, turn in the things, and go win the game. And so in this case, we have 2 objectives left of our 5 to do. We have to turn in that pink tail, which requires having the pink tail and then the hook to move the hovercraft to where you need it. And then we have to go defeat the Murasame altar, which requires us to have the darkness crystal. And we found that earlier, I believe in the Fey March. So, no, not in the Fey March. Yeah, it was the Fey March. With that, we can avoid, there was one check we walked past called the Super Cannon Room. We can avoid doing that. We wanted to do the Rat Tail Turn-In, and we won't have to go do one other dungeon called the Sealed Cave. Also, by skipping the Super Cannon Room, we managed to dodge doing one other cutscene here of the Falcon coming to save you out of that building.
Now.
Actually, it's the Enterprise that saves you from
Excuse me, you are correct. It's the Enterprise. I've got my airships mixed up.
Now, the obligatory question is, we have to try to guess. And when I say guess, I mean factoring what we think is going to be the worst boss that our wonderful Talgrank gets to fight at the Murasame spot. I always like seeing Gauntlet because I'm a horrible person, and I'm not running this scene.
I'd almost suggest that Golbez would actually be pretty bad.
Ooh.
Yeah, but he'll kill himself, though, because the magic power is so high.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, we have to prep before.
Oh, boy. Wait, I don't think I'll be that keen. You see, we already got one.
Just get a Genji. Oh, wait. Sorry. Wrong one.
Wrong game. All right, folks. All that's left for us is to go up to the moon, and we have a little bit of a cutscene while we launch the big spaceship that takes us to the moon, known as the Lunar Whale.
This thing's so massive. This is like the one thing I remember from this game is this ship is huge.
And they actually added this airship as a mount in the critically acclaimed Final Fantasy XIV.
Don't you dare!
Wait,
but do the
did
whole
they
thing.
really?
If you're going to.
Yes,
I
they
played
did.
the critically
Yeah, they did.
acclaimed MMORPG Final
And it
Fantasy
plays the
14.
music
I have
that
not
you
seen
hear
it
when
yet.
it's racing.
No way.
Yes, the
I
Lunar
need to
Whale
see
is
a
in
picture
there.
of this.
Can I tell you that, like in the vanilla game, when they go over the legend of this, I am 40 years old, and I kind of get the legend. Like, there's a dragon in there somewhere. Like, no, I don't. I'll be the first to admit. I've played this game 9 billion times. I don't get the legend. I'm not equipped mentally to understand.
I mean,
the
Space
legend.
whale.
I always attributed it to a combination of interesting Japanese descended folklore combined with poor translation.
Yes. All your base are belong to us. Here's a whale to go to the moon. I don't know, man. I don't get it.
I just say this is how Godzilla got to Earth.
Love this song.
Also, a friend of the community in chat. How about Magus Sisters? We haven't seen that fun trio.
And
Wow.
to my unhappiness, I have not seen mage killing gear yet either.
Yeah, but you've seen killing gear between 2 Excals and an Abel's Lance. I think it'll be okay.
Oh, I'm not going to complain for how this turned out. I will also point out, I did not use any camping gear during this game, during this run.
That's true.
This is true.
Thank God for that toilet.
Well, so one thing,
Delicious
one thing that
toilet
was
water.
built for this flag set is this flag set wanted to encourage you to go loot. So there are shops in Free Enterprise. They sell lots of things, and in some flag sets they sell lots of really good things. But not this flag set. The shops sell exactly one item in this flag set, and that is cabins. You will find nothing else. However, cabins are absolutely free. You can get as many of them as you like, but I don't like to stop and get them because it takes time.
We all missed to do what we did when we usually go into Lunar Whale. We'd rest in there. You know, we get all healed up. But you know what? We still feel hungry.
All right, so let's see who the final boss of this flag set's going to be.
The objective was
Lit.
Please do not be
Gauntlet.
CPU. I do not. That's the one that.
CPU.
Oh, come on. We're playing Q it, baby.
Come on.
Okay.
No.
Mike was asking my
No.
questions.
Well, if you want to get a boss who's specifically weak to Kane with Able Lance, there he is.
So let's, okay. Everybody has favorite checks, least favorite checks, favorite bosses, least favorite bosses. Plague, this flying eyeball blob butt, is my least favorite boss in the game because for some reason, Plague is always in spots that just wreck me. And I hate it.
Because what Plague does at the start of the fight, he puts a counter above your head. When that number hits 0, good night.
Yeah. I was gonna ask that because does this do any stat scaling on the bosses based off of where they appear, or are they always gonna have whatever they're going to have?
So
like, for
it's
example, in early
always-
game areas, is it gonna be scaled down or up?
Well, first, before we go into that, I think something has to be mentioned soon or called soon.
Yes. Yes.
Bit late.
There it is.
There's the sword. And it's GG's.
GG.
Hey.
Thank you.
But to go into your question there, Kiara, so it's based on the boss's spot. So if you take Antlion, for example, that boss spot has 1,000 HP. You can take an endgame boss like Ogo Pogo, stick him in that spot, he's only going to have 1,000 HP.
Okay, that makes sense.
And his attack power will scale down. His magic power will scale down. Their defense will get inherited by the spot. On the other hand, that 1,000 hit point Antlion, if you were to toss it up into the ribbon room, suddenly has 50-something thousand hit points.
It's a menace.
46,000, I think.
Jeez.
So the other
There are all
That's
kinds of
so much.
shenanigans you can do to make sure that like the count will go to 0, but if you set up the game a certain kind of way and cast Berserk a couple times, like it'll never go to 0. There's all little ways to kind of nip and tuck.
Well,
regardless of the
and
bosses.
Well, we'll see if something comes up.
and when the boss, GDQ Game Masters, I put that in for the seed name for you. So one of the other fun things that makes you feel like a rock star when you finish a free enterprise seed is you get this wonderful closing credits scene, and it actually gives you stats for how you played. So you'll see I found 13 of the 17 key items. I got every character that was available in the seed, and of the 399 treasures, I looted 65
That's pretty good. That seems pretty
and
good.
killed half the bosses.
There you go. Just like the 17, the same number of objectives.
Yep.
There you go.
And so the other thing is it'll give us a very nice spoiler here that'll show us where all the key items were during the seed. And, again,
I love
you get to feel
this.
great about yourself.
Yeah. Ooh. Can we talk about that Kanatsu right there?
Something.
And we can also talk. I recently discovered one of the forks, the explorer log, is a little funky.
Yeah, that is not where the twin harp actually was.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, accidental fate of this check.
Oh!
It goes through and shows you all of where the key items were. Then it goes through a list of all of the community members that have gone in and done coding for the game, and as well as the original credits. And then on top of that, if you go into the back half of the wishes area where you go together the characters, you talk to the elder there, and it'll actually show you all of the previous tournament winners that we have, because we do about 2 tournaments a year. We have our off-season tournament where it's kind of a fun type of flag set. We've had Lolly Ho for Bull Gauntlet, and then we have our other main staple Highway to the Zenith Zone tournament that happens, and so it just shows all the different tournament winners over the years in that
I
room
love
of
that
wishes.
so much.
Yep. Well, and so it's a lot of neat things for you to see, and it again adds to the replayability of it. It's not just that there's lots of interesting things to see, to think about, to enjoy, and it's a way to put fresh novelty into a game. And where if you love the system like a lot of us did growing up, it's a way that it is perpetually new for you to play. So it's really a passion, and if you love these old JRPGs, or if you never even got to experience one, this is a great way to get into it, to kind of get that feeling. Free Enterprise is really nice because of the quality of life. It rubs a lot of the sharp edges off it, so we can shut off encounters, so we're not going to be grinding all the time. It moves everybody to fast walk speed immediately. It does that trick we showed you with the select button, where you can see the stats on the gear in game without having to go to some weird menu thing to go figure out, go find a FAQ or something online to help you. It is really designed to make it a nice, convenient way to play this game. Well, I'm going to show you one other. Go ahead. Well, I'm going to show you one other trick while we're just about finished up with the scroll here. I think we've seen enough of where things are. It's not going to matter too much to anybody academically. One other interesting thing they do with this flag set is when you complete the game. Let's see. That's not the one I want. It will actually flag the entire seed. I can go back to this thing from 3 minutes into the seed, way back when Sid was still in the party. And I can go back to Troya Castle and see Edward. And as you recall, we went here earlier and we got an item from him. And I think we'll actually get to see us get the item again, because this is before I got it. But the twin harp is called that because the harp comes in pairs. And the second harp is, of course, in Edward's room. We watched him save us with it when we went to fight the Dark Elf spot boss in Cave Magnus. But the nice thing about the harp being in here is after you finish the seed, even if you never went to do Cave Magnus, you can come in here and it'll play the music for you again.
Oh, and it gives you the credits. I love that.
Yeah, so
And you have to actually flag the seed as complete, because otherwise, if you come in here, you'll notice that twin harp's actually kind of rusted and mossy, and you won't be able to access it.
So I believe I have one other interesting Free Enterprise story to tell tonight, and it takes place about 2 years ago. We had just wrapped up a tournament in which our friend John Burkhead did extremely well, by the way. And John and I and another third friend of ours decided that we liked racing, and we liked particularly practicing with each other, and that racing was fun and it didn't have to stop. And I kind of got a little bit saucy about things, and after having won one of those practices, I talked a little bit of mess to Mr. Burkhead, and he kind of said, well, where'd this come from? What's going on? I said, well, it's like it's wrestling, and I'm pretending that I won a belt from you, and I'm going to lord it over you. Well, we took that idea and kind of ran with it because we thought it was fun. The three of us sat down and made a flag set of things that we liked and we thought would be interesting and fun and challenging enough for us to play with. And we put together a fictitious wrestling belt and then began racing each other for it. Because Free Enterprise is one of the primary things you see in the community isn't just people casual running it like you saw me do here. It's people racing against each other. And I would say, John, how many times do you think you and I have raced?
jeez. We did this about 2 years, right?
Yeah,
so
it was about 2 years ago when I sent you the I got a belt, and I'm going to milk it for all it's worth.
I'd say between 40 and 50, I think is probably maybe a little more.
Okay. Well, I tell you what, you badmouth my boy Kane. Let's go.
Oh,
You insulted my honor.
Is there any honor to insult when you're going to go ahead and betray people all the time, third wheel?
I'm gonna-
Wait,
come on.
I'm gonna betray you so hard.
hold on. Wait a second. Break it
I
up,
said what
you
I said.
two. Stop it.
Put your popcorn in
Are you
chat,
trying to turn my show into a wrestling match without my consent? Is that what's going on?
Well, yeah.
Here?
Do you smell what the Grant is cooking?
A battle? Well, anyway, let's do it. The match is on. The title match is on, everybody. It's all coming down to the belts. We're going to be going into, it may change hands tonight. Brick has it right now. Literally a physical belt. You're going to see it after we come back from the break. And we are going to do a race of Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise with our lovely commentators and Brick and Tall Grant going right at it. And one of them is going to either defend the title or become the new Free Enterprise champion. So stay tuned for that. Before we do, join the official GDQ Discord and add the Hotfix role, where you can keep tabs on upcoming events, talk with staff, and more. Use !Discord in Twitch chat for more info. And if you missed out on any of our shows or events, be sure to check out the VODs on youtube.com/gamesdonequick. We're going to go into a short break. Don't go anywhere because you are not going to want to miss this. And welcome back from the break, everybody. We are not done with Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise because, honestly, this may be the highest stakes thing I've ever actually done on this show. We're a real, physical wrestling belt, granted it is a small one, is on the line here. Hey, it doesn't matter how big or small it is. It's actually super cute, this belt. You all have no idea. John Burkes will show it off before we get into the race. But your subs, Prime Gaming subs, gift subs, and bits cheered on the GDQ Twitch channel help support Games Done Quick Hotfix. So if you enjoy watching speedruns, consider subscribing to the channel to get access to our emotes and chat with other subscribers during our replays. And go to gamesdonequick.com/hotfix to check out our Season 3 schedule and check out the schedule for an in-depth look at all of this week's runs. Now, without further ado, I'm going to throw things over to Tybalt to introduce our competitors and what is at stake here tonight on Game Masters.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight, on the right side, we have John Burkhead, current Sumomo champion, holding the belts, the GZ finalist. And on the other side, we have Tall Grant, round of 16, coming on in to try and take the title from the one John Burkhead. Now, I want a nice, clean fight between you two. Any last words?
No.
Oh, let's take a quick look at that belt.
All right.
John's clearly showing off.
Shout out to our very, very good friend, Kenshin, and his wife, Kieran, who put this together for us. We have kind of like an annual get-together, and he surprised us with this. So Grant had it for a year. I was able to kind of steal it back, and it's on, baby. Let's go.
All right, Sean. Friendly reminder, in the interest of sportsmanship, I will remind you that in this flag set, Warp Glitch is on.
All right. We're throwing shade. All right. Three Grants in a trench coat. He's not even that tall. I've seen him in person. Yes, he is. I'm very short. Point is, fine.
Wow,
Thank you for
Grant, you're just gonna take
appreciate the
that?
reminder. Okay.
Popcorn and chat again. Popcorn and chat.
I will
Let's
let my run do the talking.
Oh, strong
Okay.
words. Well, John Burkhead, are you ready to go?
I'm sorry. I just had to put my belt down. My belt. So, but yes, I am ready to go.
Tall Grants, are you ready to go?
I was born ready.
Oh, snap.
Tie belts, if you can give us the honors and count down our runners for the title match here on Game Masters.
All right, here we go. In 3, 2, 1, go.
Good luck, bud.
Good luck. Good
Love
luck to both of them.
All righty. So, guys, we saw there at the beginning as our runners start starting here. We've got a Rosa start with your favorite one of
yes.
Edward.
We have an Edward finally in a power shirt. All right.
All right.
Ooh, now explain that, because we didn't see that in the previous flag set where there was a permanent option.
Yeah, so the way the Sumomo flag set has, there's a bunch of different things here, so we'll cover quite a bit. What that message was is, would you like this person to permanently join your party? So we have a flag set called Perma Join. So that means when a party member goes to join your party, will you accept them into your party, and they will be in your party forever. So it really comes down to your choices of how you want to set your party up when you find your characters. Well, let's go through the objectives here. I kind of stick a
they are
snapshot
going
right to Evelyn.
right down.
Early looting here is something we do in a flag set, but the objectives we have today to get the crystal, we have trade away the rat tail, launch the falcon, conquer the vanilla ribbon room, so that is going to be the deep lunar spot there up on the moon, defeat Golbez, defeat Leviathan, and complete the Tower of Zot. We have to complete 5 of those to be able to get our crystal to be able to fight the final boss of Zeromus.
And you'll see both of our runners here. They found monsters in a box and they both reset. Right now, again, they are going into Castle Evelyn looking for loot and loot only. Unlike the previous flag set, these monsters in a box could be any of these chests, so they kind of have to just find them by accident. But that said, you save before you enter, and then that way you can start looting things as long as you remember which boxes have the monsters. You can get some really strong loot really early.
So this is based on what we call T Wildish for our tier setting. So what that is, we have 4 different standard treasure settings. We have a standard, which gives a standard amount of items throughout the seed. We have a T Pro, which makes it lower tier items are going to be commonly around the world, and some higher ones maybe in more difficult areas based on the vanilla game. So Evelyn being a more difficult area in the vanilla, you get a little bit better loot. You have Wild, which means anything can be anywhere. And then Wild is just kind of a mix in between the Pro and the Wild, where it just kind of says, okay, I'm going to wait and say higher tier items are going to be higher chance in those higher areas. So things like Evelyn, you're going to find some high tier loot more often than not with Wildish on. Both of our runners said that early on.
And also something mentioned in chat, we have the fact that characters are, if they join permanently. However, there's also the flag See Buy that's turned on. And what that means is, okay, well, if you can join permanently, if I say no to you, you are gone permanently.
Oh.
So it is right then and there. You have to make your choice and pretty much stick to it. With Edward, okay, everyone has their favorite characters. I am queen and like #1 person of the Edward fan club. Edward, yes, is the weakest character, but with the spoon flag turned on and a couple of other really neat tricks that Edward can do, I'm not terribly surprised that both our runners took Edward. There's a lot of different ways you can use him. Being a carpet for your party's agility is one of them, but we're not going to talk about that right now. We're going to focus on the good things, like getting a spoon for our best boy.
Yeah, so I see John still going through the castle at the start here, while Tall Grant has moved on to other things. So I'm curious, is John being more thorough with stuff in the castle, and Tall Grant taking a little risk leaving earlier, or was there something else that happened?
Yeah, so when it comes to that, runners usually base their looting on, have I found enough power to continue on? And Tall Grant may have said, I found enough, I'm out. It's all based on how comfortable you are with your skill level. Some runners will full loot it, they want everything. Other runners, based on their party, they go, oh, I got an Ogre Axe, I've got a Sid, I'm good to go. I don't need anything else. And so that's what it comes down into racing, is trying to save time. So making that decision to not loot everything to save yourself 30 seconds. Now, as we see here on Tall Grant's side, we just got Fu So Ya. Now, the thing about Fu, as we took on that boss, we got a message saying we got some extra spells. Fu is a special character. In the vanilla game, he has every single black and white spell. Seems kind of pretty powerful to have early on. What we've done in the randomizers is we said, hey, we're not going to have vanilla Fu. What we're going to do is we're going to reduce his spells and his HP based on the amount of bosses you've done. So every boss you defeat, you get 100 HP and 3 random spells.
Now, also, point of note here, we have Wyvern, who can be a very scary boss in certain areas, but if you've played Final Fantasy IV before, the vanilla version, you're like, well, Wyvern starts with Mega Nuke. Why did Wyvern start with Petrify, excuse me. We have what's called the Witch Burn, so it actually changes Wyvern's Mega Nuke attack to something weaker. Now, we've also had to add a specific combo flag, because previously Wyvern could then say, okay, I'm just going to use Holy. And then
No, Holy's still in there. White is still in there.
That's fantastic.
There are a few spells that are not in there unless you have an unsafe flag set. Some of the ones that come later on, you have Meteor or Merton in other games, which is super powerful, end-all, be-all spell. And then you also have Big Bang. Those have been removed from the pool because you stick that in any location. It is near impossible to survive because you can't reflect it. You can't dodge it unless you have it Edward.
And that Antlion Cave just became very important because we just got effectively a hard required item. And when I say hard required, that means, so we look at our objectives, we have to complete 5 of the 6. Now, the hook was the one that was just picked up. Now, looking at our objectives, 2 of those 6 objectives require the use of the hook, and that's launch the Falcon, so you need the hook to go to the hook route and launch the Falcon, and then also trade in the rat tail. And for rat tails and pink tails, you need the respective tail and you need the hook. So that is, you are basically you are required to complete Antlion Cave to complete this flag set.
Yes, as we have, Talgran kind of just dropping off, planning a bit ahead. You're going to take on the Fabul. Some of the other flags we have turned on for this Sumomo race here that they decided is. So we have something called Sea Relax, so that's why Fu has showed up there on Mount Hobbs. It's an early spot. Generally speaking, we have like a C standard where it's Fu and Edge are gated characters because they're so powerful to have early on. So Sea Relax, it turns that gating off. We have a distinct 7. So with distinct 7, there are only going to be 7 characters in this seed in total. There may be duplicates, but there's only going to be 7 distinct characters out of the 13, out of the 12.
Okay,
so we may not see Kane, we may not see Cecil because they're out of this one, and somebody else has been replaced. We know we've got Eddie, Fu, and Rosa. That is for sure.
I do like that.
Who are other characters are available? Who knows?
Where you can't just have like, this is the party I'm going to go for every time I hope to show up. Like, nope, here's what you got dealt with, make it work. I love that aspect of randomizers. Like, here are all these weird combinations, make it work.
And so the other thing that we also have with that is we have no dupe. Now, I just said that there's duplicates. Well, what we mean by no dupes is if the party member is already in your party, you cannot have a duplicate.
Oh.
So if you see another Fu, it's just going to be an empty space because he's not going to join your party. But if you said bye to him the first time and you see him the second time, you can pick him up then.
Ooh, unfortunate look on this cave. That is not a required boss. Meanwhile, in Fabul, we have the Luca key. So that leads us to the sealed cave downtown, down underground, if we so choose to take that route.
Compounding onto the character flag set with that, C Distinct and C Star, all, there is another one that was recently added about a year and a half ago called Hero. Now, I touched a little bit on this earlier when Talgrant was doing his run, that about agility is all based on, Cecil, who's the hero, and if Cecil's not in your party, it's a center slot character. In this flag set, we have something called C Hero on, and what that does is it makes the starting character, in this case, Rosa, she is now the hero, which means she is our agility anchor. We'll probably go into more of that a little bit later. She also will have the forge weapon guaranteed for her. And as well, here on Ordeals where Talgrant's going, when she goes into the room, she's going to have to fight that fight solo, just like Cecil did in the vanilla game.
And there can be some scary hero characters and boss combos, pretty much usually involving the gauntlet, where you just have to deal with it. So it can be a little terrifying depending on who you have as your hero.
And some things you may know that's a little bit different from vanilla is that we're seeing a lot of these items that we never had in vanilla. So like the coffins, the hourglasses, even some of the what we call J abilities where Fu's got his regain and Rosa's got prayer. Those were actually removed from the Western release. Kind of that aspect back in that time was, well, the Westerners aren't going to understand this. Let's make it easier for them to understand. So we're going to limit it. So like they have mallets and they have diet food and all that for all the status ailments, where in the US release, they just have heal potion, cures everything. With the randomizer, we have turned out what's called J items and J abilities, which turns on those items that were originally in the Japanese release. And some of those can be very, very useful. So we have Zurich here in the first fight of the deals. We get our item here from the bull. Got Nestro, is it the Luke key?
Yeah, it was Luke Key.
Yeah.
Now, we talked about Valvalis previously in the previous flag set. If Val is in this next spot, that could be a little scary,
Yeah.
potentially.
Yeah, the reason why it's really scary is because of her tornado. We have no way of taking her out of it. When she has her tornado up, she has perfect defense or a higher defense, so she has more defense multiplier, so more dice rolls to defend against your attacks. And she also has a high magic defense. Well, right now, our party consists of Fu doing everything.
So commentator's curse in Free Enterprise is very much a thing. It's been a while since I've done commentary, and I'm appreciative of the fact that commentator's curse still exists.
But this also can tell us a little bit about the seed as well, seeing
This
Val
is true.
there, because
Tibble,
there's
why
logic
is
to this.
that?
So we've actually put some logic into this game. I know, logic in a
Nope.
video game. Can you believe it?
Nope. Yeah, there are certain bosses that are a little bit too rude for our runners to deal with, in terms of locking under downtown, as I said previously, but underground access. Valvalis is one of them. So, what would, again, Tibble, if you're running this, you see Valve right there. What do you say?
I go, nope, I'm going to come back later because I know that my logical way underground is not through Valvalis. There's a few boss fights where we say, this is technically too hard for a low-level party to get through, so we're not going to force you to get this to go underground to be able to get more experience and more levels. Golbez is one of those, and then also based on your flag set, Dark Knight Cecil or Wyvern can also be a part of those. So seeing Val there, I know that's not my path. I can come back later for that one item, one boss. Let's see what else happens.
So instead, we are looking at potentially picking up an edge.
Now, edge would be huge. That will allow...
So would that Golbez right there.
Golbez, yeah, that's an objective. But since we're playing on one of the forks, there's actually a special flag set on Gale Swift's fork, which is what we're playing on right now. There's a flag called Ybez. And you may wonder what that does. Golbez in vanilla will always cast the same 3 spells in the same order after he paralyzes you. So he'll paralyze you. He goes through, does his whole spiel, knocks you down to 2 party members, but Edward was able to hide here. And then he'll, I believe it's in this order where it's Fire 2, Ice 2, and then Lit 3.
Lit 2? Or the 3.
And those hurt. However, with Ybez, those 3 spells have been randomized. So we don't know what's going to come out.
And just with Edward, that's just another little trick that Eddie can do. He can hide... basically, object permanence outside of the screen doesn't exist in this game. So when Eddie goes off screen, he just stops existing and all spells become... he just doesn't take damage or anything from any of those spells. What our wonderful runner Talgrand's doing right here is using those star veils, and that's basically a reflective shield. So if Golbez uses virus on Fu, you'll notice, well, he damaged himself. And it's just one of those things.
Yeah.
So we have virus. What is going to be the second spell, if we even get to see it?
Yeah, with Fu, it's really hard to see.
Ooh, yay.
Yeah.
Oh, Sure enough, that Y signifies the end of that fight. Golbez is down, and that is an objective for Tallgrant. So he has completed his first objective.
Oh, nice.
I got a couple more spells for Fu, and then as well as a package.
Okay. So there are two schools of thought with the package. There are those of us that say always check your package. And then there are those of us that are wrong. I am definitely in the fan of checking your package, but Tibble, could you explain to everybody why checking the package can be, even in a boss fight or a boss hunt, could be extremely punishing if you're not lucky?
So the reason it can be extreme punishment is you go into the fight. You start off, you go to the town and the city, and vanilla, you're just supposed to destroy the town. It's a long cutscene. You see the character, go through the cutscene, and then that's it. But wait, there's more. You actually have to walk to the town of Kaipo. You do another cutscene to go stay at the inn, and then you have the boss fight. So it's a very, very hidden boss. And it either could be an objective boss for you, or it could be a hidden demist. Now, unlike the previous flag set, demist in this flag set actually holds a key item, or a chance of a key item. So it could hold something like the Earth Crystal, which may never get found because she's at the package. So it's one of those things, do you take that gamble of spending 2.5 minutes to check that boss? And in times it can burn you, where it's just completely dud, and in other times it could be required.
Great play by Tallgrant. So fighting Dark Elf right there actually really didn't serve a purpose, except to try to build up spells for Fusoya. And one of the spells that Fu just got was Nuke, aka Fu goes burr now.
Good way to put it.
That is
I remember from the Wyvern at the start of the game, and he's like, "Oh, Nuke is ridiculous," and now we have it. So,
yeah.
And now what's interesting about Fu is Fu does have a limited MP pool, so it's not like he can just go willy-nilly with the nukes. That said, it usually only takes a couple nukes for any enemies to just not exist anymore. So
yeah, Fu's only got 190 MP, and he can cast Nuke 3 times?
Because Nuke is 50?
Yeah, Nuke's 50.
So
you see here some hourglasses, picking up some of those, and what those will do is it casts a enemy-wide stop. So the stop spell they just stop their turn. They don't progress in their ATB bar. They're just done until that timer goes up. And hourglass to it lasts a long time. So that can be definitely useful later on for a grind option, or to get you through some certain boss fights, to where earlier we had Grant have an issue with a bit of the Baron guards there. Well, we can stop them. In vanilla we couldn't, because they have a boss bit. We have turned those boss bits off, so a lot of the you can't do this on a boss, you can't do that. We've turned that on and turned that into an actual flag to say, you want to make the seed easier or harder, you can turn that on.
And what Tallgrant just found in the cave just now is the Soma drop, which permanently gives a character 10 MP. And in the realm of free enterprise, there are only 2 characters that you would ever want to give a Soma drop to. Fu, who now can cast Nuke a 4th time, and of course, Kain, because Kain always needs MP.
No, gotta give it to Young. Gotta give it to the quote-unquote punch mage.
I mean, Kain was a burr mage the last seed. It's fine.
Well, we see Tallgrant here just utilizing Fu's spell, to its full extent, casting stone on those stalemates, get to the fight super fast, get reward with an AU apple, which if I remember correctly, that's what, a gold apple?
That is the AU is the chemical symbol for gold, aka borum. Also, AG would be argentum, which is silver, and I'm gonna be quiet now because it's been a while since I've been able to use my chemistry degree.
So again, more into the J items, the apples will give you max HP. So gold apple gives you 100, silver gives you 50. So you can superpower somebody's HP with those apples to kind of get them up a little bit higher, even though they're low level. We see a vanilla edge here. This is where he is in the vanilla game. Not the vanilla boss there. It's an earned character because it requires a key item to get here. So that's why Edge is actually showing up here. So yeah, we only know 4 characters out of the 7. There's still 3 mystery characters out there.
And in reality, looking at this, aside from like even Edge could be a decent power hitter. Our biggest kind of weakness right now is the fact that we don't have like a Cecil, a Kane, or a Spoonword.
We don't really need that. So there's different kind of party compositions that you can go with. You can do a full mage party, you can do a full physical party, or you can do kind of a hybrid. And our runners are going to be making their choice, and relatively not what do they have available in that distinct, but also how they want to fight the final boss. We have to worry about that C hero fight because Rosa is our hero, which means she's our anchor for the agility stuff. And also, when if she's taking a nap at the end of the fight, she'll keep the experience. She gets it anyways. That's a cool thing about the hero flag.
Agreed. And something with, especially with this flag set, the no curse is not turned on. Meaning, if our runners find, interesting, the cursed ring, that actually puts all of your stats down by, I believe, 15, which you think, okay, that's kind of crummy. In this flag set, especially if you have a high agility anchor, not necessarily a bad thing, because you now can slow down your anchor and do a little bit of more agility manipulation based on the rest of your party. So if you have a lot of slow characters, slowing down your anchor might be beneficial for you. It's really how you best play and what works for you.
Yeah. And we have some Maga sisters here at the King Queen Evelyn spot. They do their Delta attack, which takes Mindy, and she just casts all of her spells are reflected, so they'll pierce our reflection as well. But we have to worry about Cindy here because after some time, she will just decide to resurrect the system.
Resurrect. Case and points. Hello.
And unfortunately, in some spots, this would be okay because for every monster that you take out in a fight, you get the extra experience. But here, you don't get any experience. If I remember correctly, there's no experience in this spot. So
the first. Ooh, and we actually look at John Burkhead, who got through Valvalis, and we are going to be seeing who the boss is in the mirror room.
As well as the item, too. So Rosa gets a tower key.
Ooh.
That's a spicy item. Boss and item.
Oh, that's a sparkle. Can we get an Ogopogo? Ogopogo?
Oh.
Oh, the nope rope in a interesting spot.
So we call Ogopogo here the nope rope because he does HP-based damage with his big wave, so he's going to do 50% of your HP off the cuff. And then he's going to hit you once or twice. And then he's going to do another big wave and take off 20% off the top. Hit you a couple more times, and then do another 50%. And it's not based on what you have total, it's based on what your max HP is. So it can be dangerous early on to find.
Yeah, but with that setup, it went pretty well. Thankfully, this spot doesn't have too much HP, so we're able to get through it pretty quickly. Now, let's have a quick conversation about that tower key, because in the realm of racing within Free Enterprise, there are various routes that one can take, and very varied routes depending on key items acquired and not seen yet or faded. The tower key is an interesting thing that could lead to what's called keyless tower. And Tibble, if you want to kind of explain what that is.
So the Tower of Babel, which is down there in the center, there's two checks with it. You have the super cannon room, which requires that tower key. Then you have the top of tower, which just requires underground access. There are runners who go, I'm not going to go here unless I have the tower key, so they're going to do the tower with the tower key, do it all one fell swoop. And then there's other runners that will sit there and go, I'm going to do keyless tower, so I don't care about that key. I'm just going to go to the top, check the item. And then you have the very few other three, as coined by one of our famous runners, couple tournament winners, Penguinator, called the Pengu Special, where you just check half the tower. You have the tower key, you check the super cannon, and you leave. And then you never come back. Unless you really need to.
So basically, like, since we know Valvalis is guarding that tower key, if Talleyrand doesn't go back and get that tower key later on, but John finds out that tower key holds an objective, particularly the rat tail, the darkness crystal, or if it has the Leviathan boss. Now things get a little dicey because that starts to become potentially more required.
So we're going to take a little spy here at the top of the tower, see what the boss is. Looks like it's either going to be a ruby or the elements fight. So it's always going to show you one sprite. It's always going to show you the ruby sprite. The elements, it has all 4 on vanilla because it shows up on the giant. But if it's just a single sprite location, you're only going to see ruby. So it's a toss-up on who's there at the top. With this party, we could take on ruby. It would be it'd be kind of bad. We have to worry about Fu's MP. And a little bit of the same with the elements fight.
Still, we are officially underground, so we can start seeing what our wonderful runners are going to be doing. Now they have access to the second part of the map. And of course, shout out to the Dwarven toilet.
Yep. Gotta get that drink to get your free HP here.
It's delicious, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Absolutely delicious.
So probably what's going to happen here, because with flag sets here, we're probably going to check Dwarf Castle. This is a 2 key item check. The reason being is that we have one of the features of the game called the warp glitch is turned on. And what that does is in the vanilla game, you could actually go through this location, cast the warp here at Dwarf, and it warps you back to the crystal room. However, the way it was coded is that the crystal room that's in the back of Dwarf is actually the crystal room out in Sealed Cave. So when you warp back, you're actually warping to the back of Sealed Cave and are able to check that item without actually having the Luca key. But you take the caveat of fading that boss spot. So you're hoping that Leviathan's not there, you're hoping Demas isn't there. And you're kind of hoping, like, take your checks and balances, a little bit of the downside of, like, what am I going to do? Do I want to fade this spot or not?
The spiciness of free enterprise racing is just which checks do you fade and who actually fades the correct one?
Yeah, it comes around in decisions, which can be based on skill comfortable and how comfortable you are with the power that you have. So who knows who's going to run what? Sometimes you can take 2 completely different routes for the seed and end up with the same time frame there at the end.
And sometimes, like, there's key item chains or within free enterprise you'll see sometimes, and there'll be an instance where a runner is really far behind, but all of a sudden just hits a chain perfectly. And they just kind of coalesce into the final boss at or near the same time. And it just gets really, really, really special to watch. Looking at some guards, that's not terribly, terribly bad. But while we're looking at that, there's a very important question in chat. I mean, we're here asking the important ones here. Which bucket is likely to be less good water? Dwarf or moon?
I don't know. I'd say dwarf.
Yeah, you have to deal with the fumes and the soot. Yeah.
Oh, the toxic fumes from the lava. Yeah, it's just I wouldn't want it. No, I'm good. I mean, if you want a little bit of sulfur in your water,
You also like a little lava in your water as well.
Yeah, that too. We can see another character here, and in vanilla, Rydia would grow up and get some extra summons, get her level 2 spells. Within the randomizer, she gets some randomized summons, so she can get the Bahamut spell. We haven't seen Rydia yet, but we'll see who this character is.
Kane.
And a spicy Demas here.
Ooh.
Bonus round.
And a child. All right, so we have a true black mage.
Did Tall Grant take the? Tall Grant took the Palom. So with this,
are we going reflect?
I think we're doing like a mage party here, reflect party. We'll cover more what we mean by reflect here when we get closer to the end game. That's what it really takes into play here. Taking the Palom, deciding to go full mages here, using an edge when you need to for physical.
And yeah, so Tall Grant's party is locked in for the rest of the seed. This is not going to change. So that's it. So also I love the Demas Ghost Hand.
Yes.
I love the Dr. Luge Earth Hand, as I like to call it, but Ghost Hand is cool.
My other favorite one is Evil Wall when it's the gray hand.
Oh yeah, that is nice.
So because it's a 16-bit, color game, there are things that are shared in animation. So the hand takes some of the coloring from the sprite that's used there. Yeah, we can't ditch Eddie. And we got the spoon. So we're going to cast warp here. So we're going to warp back to that Luca cave, check here, grab the key item, and it's an Artemis bow, so it's a Zonk.
We have a spoony bard, ladies and gentlemen. Who needs a Cecil or a cane when you have a bard with a utensil? Nope, I don't like Eddie. Not at all.
So, Pretty Rick working on this underground. Talrand just blitzed through that so quickly. I think John's just being a little bit safer, getting some levels, get some experience. And then Grant just lets it throw. Wow.
Sybil, really quick, who do you not want to see?
In the Fey March?
Yep.
Oh, let's say at Leviathan, DKC, and at Azura, Ruby.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh, you're choosing violence. I love this.
Oh.
So unlike the previous flag set, there can be key items behind these two bosses. So we, as commentators, as viewers, we do what's best for the show, and we root for the worst. Mostly because we're not the ones running the flag set right now.
Yeah, that DKC would be extremely
Oh, that would be hilarious.
Especially since we don't have a curse ring to lower our agility.
That's true.
So
I haven't seen any in shops either.
Yeah, so as I mentioned about lowering your agility, so what we mean by that, everything's based on Rose's agility. So we take this for a fact. Let's say Rose's agility is, let's say for an easy number, 10. Anybody that has 2.5 times plus 1 of that agility makes them RA1, or relative agility 1, which means they're going to act first. So somebody would have to have 21 agility, or 26 agility, to be able to act first. So you can see on how your anchor can really come into play. Those higher level agilities can really hurt you because there's no way you're going to get more turns than the enemy.
All right, let's see what we got.
You give your higher chance here.
Ooh.
Baron Guards isn't too bad because you have an hourglass. The Octomom, however,
I'm looking at that Octomom.
That Octomom is going to be pain.
Oh, and Octo is a very, very interesting boss fight. So Octomom starts off a very, very speedy octopus, but every 3 damaging attacks?
So it's 3 damaging for the first round, and then it's every 2.
2 after that. So every 3 and then every 2 after that. Octomom loses a tentacle, but also loses a little bit of speed. So it starts off really, really brutal, and then it kind of gets slightly easier, depending on the spot. But that's still that's a spicy sushi roll right there.
We have a coffin coming out and a life potion being cast on him. Why do we want to resurrect our enemy? That does not seem correct.
So we have this wonderful thing called the life glitch. So what happens in Free Enterprise with a life glitch, or just in Final Fantasy IV originally, if you cast life potion or a life spell, specifically life 1, not life 2, on an enemy that has just died, you can resurrect them based on their vitality. Well, the thing is, enemies, their vitality is 0. So they're resurrected, but instantaneously die again. What that means for us is we get more XP. So you can get a lot more XP out of that fight if you use the life glitch. Now, you can't use it on... Ooh, that was a nice combo of spells right there. You can't use it on the final enemy that you defeat. So that's why we only saw the life glitch on the first enemy defeated. But it is a nice way, and actually a way you can grind up levels in later things such as the moon. So that said, the lunar staff is okay.
Yeah, it's a stat stick.
Yeah.
It's a
Nothing
lightning
too
stat
impressive.
stick.
Yeah.
But Grant decided to leave that Octo Mom going, I don't want anything to do with that. I'm out of here.
That's called I'm willingly fading this because no.
Yeah.
Just not right now. Please no.
And the key items really haven't been showing up that much. So
I think we're on a darkness crystal hunt. What do you think?
Oh yeah, I'm thinking that there's quite a few key items on the moon here.
Mm-hmm.
So we got 7 spots on the moon that can have key items.
Yeah, we have in this particular flag set all of the lunar boss spots, and then we also have the Bahamut Cave, which there's plenty of memes within the Free Enterprise community. We always say that there's value in Cave Bahamut, or cave value as we call it. It's a little cave on the side where in vanilla you would get the Bahamut summon. Here, well, it's usually you end up finding a very strong physical fighter in that spot, which is very painful and destructive, and usually there's nothing there of value, which is why there's value.
So as I mentioned here, Grant playing it really smart here, realizing I have the package, entering Mysidia from the right-hand side as to not trigger the package cutscene to go turn in this D-Mist. A lot of runners tend to forget that, oh yeah, I took out the D-Mist, I need to go get this item, and ho-ho, it's a pan. That's another 2 possible options there for key items.
And what's interesting is if you're not paying attention and you go a little bit too far to the left after getting the D-Mist item, you're still going to trigger that cutscene.
And then you feel sad.
Like, oh, yeah. You're like, well, this is a salty reset right now.
This is 45 seconds I have to sit through now.
Yep. And then you're kind of locked off from going into the desert because then you have to fight another boss.
Well, the airship moves with you, so even if you do
it
from the left, the airship moves with you to prevent you from a soft lock.
Let's see. Why was I thinking the hand in the dwarven throne room was revealing the cave boss? Is there some other thing that gives away the boss there that you're confusing? If you're talking about the sealed cave, there's not really anything that gives that boss away. The hand that you see in the dwarven castle, is that Golbez's hand in vanilla?
It's Golbez's hand in vanilla. If you beat him, his hand goes and takes the crystal. Yeah. But the hand's coloring is based off the primary sprite that was used. So Golbez is normally there, so his hand looks like him. But since we randomized the bosses, the colors are different.
And shout out to that Black Mage stat stick. We have a Stardust Rod.
Great early on, but decent here in the end game for that extra 15 to wisdom. Grant here taking on this little town of Tamra. We'll see if he does everybody's favorite thing here besides checking the shops.
Yeah, there's a specific meme in the Free Enterprise called the Job Dwarf, and there's a little dwarf in the upper left-hand corner of this town that is very proud of the job they do. We've randomized what job they do. And Job Dwarf has been denied, so I like to think of them as currently unemployed.
Why not just their vanilla job? Like in the vanilla, he says, I'm a farmer.
I'm a farmer. Like, my friend, my dwarf, you are surrounded by lava. What are you farming?
They're farming, you know how, dwarfs do a whole bunch of like weird things. Maybe they're farming like gems or something. They plant the gem seeds out, and then they water them with magma, and then they become valuable stuff. No?
Sure.
You know what? I can believe that.
Maybe these dwarves eat rocks.
Do
you ever see them with meat?
It's true.
So picking up a couple charm rods for our black mages. Again, another great stat stick. It's plus 10 to wisdom, not 15 like the Stardust, but still something good. I'm gonna pick up a full moon, which is just like the boomerang, a better version of that boomerang, so it's gonna be able to back row that edge.
Let's see the Fabul pan check. That is
music.
That's music, and that's Earth. Oh, why is that combination in a running like a race situation really nice to see?
Because it routes so well against each other, because you have to go to Cave Magnus for the Twin Harp, and you have the Earth Crystal, which is also right there. So it's two for one, essentially.
So it looks like...
we know Zod's an objective. Now, we'll be getting music as well here, so for anybody who's new to join us here, we are heading towards Cave Magnus now in vanilla. what ends up happening, this cave has been cursed by the dark elf in the back. He has put a spell on there to where anything metallic is just super heavy. So you're weighed down by it. You're paralyzed in any fight that you're in. So we're going to see that spell animation here. Everything is metal, super heavy, can't use it. So a lot of people will just try to equip all of their people with something metallic. So when they get into this first encounter here against Dark Elf, it's a scripted fight. Fight just ends. It's a way to save some seconds. But Edward comes around out of bed and decides to start playing a tune to break that spell. Here in Free Enterprise, since we wanted to keep things a lot to the base vanilla game, we've actually changed that song to something random. So we can have, I want to say it's bigger than 200. I want to say it's like 300 to 400 songs. The list is humongous. And I mean, we're talking games from like Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy V, Super Metroid, Super Mario RPG. There's some legally distinct.
Yeah, legally distinct.
We like you can still kind of tell the tune, but it's been distinctive enough where it doesn't break copyright. Like there's a Game of Thrones in there, in the pool. There's Castlevania, but it's primarily all the different SNES games turned into harp here. So as Edward's getting out of bed, I'm gonna be going to this harp. We're gonna be quiet here in the booth, and we're gonna let DJ Spoonie B here play us some tunes.
Yeah. Now, this is an interesting situation where both of our runners saw the same sprite on the screen, but you see the difference between Rubicante on John's side and then the elements on the other. Shun the harp disbelievers! Shun them!
That is darkness. That is huge. Tolerance. Way ahead.
Yeah,
here.
that's... The harp check is one of those very polarizing checks because it is a very long way and a long cutscene to get a boss and a key item. So when harp pays off, there are people that will actively fade the harp because of its length. But here, that is huge because that just opened up us a whole bunch more key item checks. It opened up a required objective in the Ribbon Room boss fight. And yeah, the world is his oyster right now with Togram.
Yeah. Grind options are online with that Darkness Crystal. We have some obligatory, what we call D-Machine grinds, or we have the Moon. If we have any Sirens, we haven't done any shops yet. And what a Siren does is it summons the rarest encounter in the zone you're in. And so what some players will do is they'll grab a bunch of Sirens, do some eggs in the Power Island down there in the underground. They'll go to the moon and take on some gold dragons, maybe some warlocks. Like there's a bunch of different options when it comes to your grind. As any RPG, you need levels and spells. Grant here, look at the amount of key items he has: 2, 4, 6, 8 key items right now. So he's too short of what we have for what we call as XP boost. So in this randomizer, when you hit 10 key items, if you want to go ahead, Oscar, I'm not going to hog the light bite here.
Oh, no, I was just going to mention that it turns out the tower key gave a little bit of a zonk in the Legend Sword, but I believe top of tower gave the rat tail. Unless it was a different check, because I noticed on John's tracker, the rat tail is turned on.
So we didn't get the rat tail on one of those two checks. So objectives there for John.
I think it would be I think it would be top of tower at that point. Because the annoying thing about the tower key is you don't find out what the key objective is until you leave the tower. And in that case, that was the legend sword. So the fact that John already had the rat tail lit up, that means, well, John has access to the turn in the rat tail objective, which could also give another key item. So this is where routing can very easily diverge into radically different areas.
Yeah, so we've got, rat tail turn in for John. We take a look at our objectives that we have to, complete 5 of: rat tail, falcon, vanilla ribbon room, Golbez, Leviathan, and Tower of Zod. Both our runners have done the falcon. Both our runners have done Golbez. Those 2 objectives have done both. But then we got rat tail for Johnny B, and we've got Earth Crystal here for Tall Grant. So again, routing completely different. Who knows where this Leviathan could be? Could be on the moon somewhere.
Now, my question is, so once we get 5 of the 6 objectives complete, we get the crystal. So the crystal that we use to defeat, or to even fight Zeromus, the final boss. But we also need to get to the final boss. Now, there are 2 ways of getting to the final boss. That's using the darkness crystal and running down the entire lunar subterranean, which is quite a few minutes of agonizing running. But there's also an item called the pass. Now, I haven't seen the pass anywhere in this flag set. Does it exist?
Looking at the flag set, there is no flag saying no pass, so it is somewhere in a key item location. There's no P shop, or it could be in a shop, so it is going to be a key item.
So could you explain briefly what the pass does?
So the pass in the vanilla game, it was about 500,000 GP, and it talks to the guy. You talk to a vendor in Troya, you get the pass. You talk to the guy also at the bar there, and it brings you out to a dance show, essentially, with some of the dancers around the world. But in Free Enterprise, we made a shortcut, so it goes directly to the final boss. So you can, don't even need the darkness crystal to get to the final boss. So if like that rat tail turns into the pass, and Johnny B finds Leviathan here somewhere, like Luca, or maybe it's here at Zod, he won't even have to go to the moon to get go mode and actually beat the final boss here. So.
And in the Free Enterprise world, we call a seed where you can go to the moon, but you don't have to. Moon's haunted. That's just because, we didn't need to go there. We have access to it, but...
Yeah.
Oh! Hey! This is a boss we don't want to see here, because that's a waste of a water hag.
Yeah, waste of water hag. Fight just takes 3 hits to get through. Brick. Fight Brick. And that's referencing the name of the Edward character. He said 3 hits and he's gone. And that's going to be Crumble, so it's going to take a while to get off our screen. So it's just so long.
And actually, while we're getting a little bit of backtracking with John, and then we get a little Crumble from Tall Grant, something I know Tibble had mentioned before the stream that we tend to, in the Free Enterprise community, we tend to give a few shout outs during races and then afterwards, if you'd like to hit up some of those.
Yeah, so definitely want to give a shout out to the person who's culminated all this together. The GDQ tech of Richard, Kiara_TV for actually allowing Free Enterprise here to be on Game Masters. Both John and Tall Grant putting on this amazing race and doing a title match here, and of course my co-commentator Asuka. Make sure you follow these people; they're all amazing.
And follow Tibble.
Don't worry about me. I'm just a nobody.
Tibble.
Well,
yes, listen to that shout out.
That was actually well timed with the shout outs. Shout out to Richard for getting that in there. Well done.
And also this Discord, or this community has a Discord that is super helpful. You have so many people that want to actually teach you how to play this randomizer. And the fun thing about Free Enterprise in general is you can customize it in so many different ways, make it super easy, super difficult. You can customize it such that you're playing vanilla, basically. There's so many things you could do to it, and there's so many little tricks and nuances that, again, they want to teach you because we love having more people. Not a cult, but
Maybe one of these days, I'll have you on and you can teach me.
and in all honesty, with free enterprise, like admittedly, this is pretty much the only rando I've played. I've seen a lot of randomizers that there's a lot going on in terms of key items, locations, and just a lot. And I am a very smooth-brained person. Free enterprise encompasses a lot of those cool checks and everything, but doesn't overwhelm you, especially as you're first starting out. There's fewer key items. It's in some ways a lot more focused on those boss fights and learning how a lot of that works, but it's very palatable for not just people that are playing free enterprise for the first time, but playing a randomizer for the first time. And the lunar shop just paid off in dividends.
Yep, with sirens. But as somebody mentioned in the chat here that Grant, I've known him for a while, and he puts a lot of math into this game, and I know math on stream. Who does this? So he sat there, did the math. Is Keyless Tower the play or not? So he knows a lot of the in-depth of this game, knowing what chances there are going to be a key item there, knows a little bit about the weighting, based on thousands of seeds, how valuable the top of the tower could be versus the moon. So he was sitting there doing that math, going, is it going to be the play? John didn't care and just did both the tower key and keyless, to the tower. But Telegrant, without that key, had to do that math to make that choice of, do I check this or not? There's a yawn there on Telegrant's side. We don't get to see everybody's favorite punch mage. I am sad. No charm claw hype. But we're definitely, we picked up a bunch of sirens here. We have some hourglass 2s. We're only sitting at 8 key items on Telegrant's side, which is a little sad. As mentioned a little bit earlier, when we have 10 key items, we actually get a double EXP boost. So what that means in a fight that would normally give you 32,000 XP, with 10 key items, it gives you 64,000. But then we also have another thing where it's, you have the EXP bonus, but then you have the EXP boost. The way the EXP boost works is any character that is 5 levels under the median of the party gets an extra multiplier to the amount of experience they get. They get double on top of it. So, 64 experience from the fight. They're 5 levels behind everybody else. Cool, we're going to give you a double that. So we're going to give you 120 onto that one character. We call that the slingshot.
And there are some people that, as they're racing, you'll see they'll have a character pretty much KO'd for a good chunk of it until they're able to get that slingshot and get that EXP boost. Because it's faster to just power level them with that single fight than maybe slowly level them alongside everybody else. A freshly paladinized Cecil is a very, very, very common one that you just see skyrocketed.
Because it comes down to, do you want to spend the time getting out this person's turn? Because you're spending time on their turn to pass it, or it's just messing up your turn order, so you just leave them on the ground. I'll get you levels later. Don't worry. It's good. Yeah. Don't worry.
We have levels at home, and we actually do, in fact, have levels at home.
Exactly.
But yeah, what we're seeing right now with Telegrant is we're about to see the required boss spot, which is the Ribbon Room. Normally, in vanilla, the Ribbon Room has the the twin lunar dragons. 2 very evil enemies that like to do death.
So remember, remember we talking about the alt gauntlet?
Yep. Is this it?
This is the alt gauntlet.
Let's go! All right.
So what's funny is that the D fossil looks like the D lunars, except more painful because Telegrant immediately saw that and probably cursed this scene.
Mm-hmm.
You'll love to hate it.
And the thing is, this D-lunar spot actually holds 2 possible key items.
2 key items.
It has 2 chests, so it's super valuable, which is why he came here first. Seeing this gauntlet,
and it's a required. So
it may not be required. It's what we.
This is true.
It may not be. Right now, we still have that Leviathan sitting out there.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, Tall Grant doesn't have the rat tail yet.
Doesn't have the rat tail. We are in a no mode here, actually, I believe, because
Okay.
we section off Leviathan, and we've got go mode between the two runners. I think
Yeah.
John has Zot now. Doesn't have the darkness crystal, so once John gets that darkness crystal from the harp, he will be in go mode. So we're in a no mode here at the booth and for chat. We know the path for go mode.
Now,
But-
is it going to be the path that our runners both use? Not necessarily.
Yeah.
But we know that a path exists, and we know where it is. Now, chances are what Tall Grant is probably going to do is going to be doing a boss check rush, if you will. Once this gauntlet's done, maybe not looking at all right.
Had a bit of trouble.
Oh
there
yeah,
with
that was a bad blitz there.
Yeah, bad blitz,
So-
bad entangle. Like that King Ryu, here, the gold and silver dragon, be really bad. Do we have any extra hourglasses that we can?
I
spare for
saw
that?
one. I think I saw an hourglass too.
That's
So yeah,
one of
like
the fights
once
you
this is
want to
done,
put on.
what Tall Grant could likely do is start looking at all the different boss spots within the Lunar Subterranean and potentially Cave Bahamut. And if Tall Grant doesn't see Leviathan, you will see an instant reset. Because at this point, he has access to Z, the final boss, but he still needs either the rat tail, which we know where it is, or everyone's favorite soggy noodle.
So it's gonna be a bit tricky, these levels here. Again, these things hit like a truck. We don't really have any great defense for it. We do have Blink, but Blink's gonna reset every fight. So Grant's definitely gonna try in here again.
And what's so unfortunate is we have access to sirens now, and sirens are purchased. But the thing is, I'm willing to bet Tall Grant's looking at the key items, going, I don't have 10 yet. I could potentially get 10 out of this fight. So can I power through this and then do a quick grind?
Yeah. Based on the amount of sirens he only bought 9. I can definitely see
Okay.
that being, waiting for that 10 key item bonus. If you buy 20, yeah, you're not going to wait for that 10 key item. Maybe
Right.
didn't have the money for 20 sirens.
And usually in the LST, one of the very popular spots to go to is Cave Bahamut, because then you can, do we explain
Yeah.
how sirens work?
Yeah. So sirens will summon the rarest encounter in that zone. So you got Cave Bahamut just outside of Marasame Altar, where Grant was earlier in his previous light run. And as well, floor 3, you use the siren, you get a double gold dragon fight. On floor 6, I believe, or you get the triple warlock, which is another grind option. You also have eggs down below in the underground, which will give you a good chunk of experience on the power island. But Johnny B has 10. He's got the that rat tail. Looks
true.
like rat tail. What did rat tail turn into? Did you turn that in?
I think it might have been a zonk.
Yeah, look at here. I'm thinking it's Zonk.
So now here's one of those situations where this can be a point, basically a point of inflection for a runner's race. You'll see Tall Grant is trying to push forward in this gauntlet. Things aren't quite working the way he wants. It's possible to get through this gauntlet, but in a race setting, and this is something that everybody that has raced has asked this question, at what point do you keep pushing the same fight, or do you maybe head over, get a couple levels, use one of your sirens, and then try it again where it's a hair easier? Or do you look at some of the other boss spots in the LST and try to find a free fight? But I don't think there's many left. Like DKC, maybe?
Yeah, you answered a question there in chat. There's so many spots on the giant that we use sirens. We actually use a step chart that's actually used. Well, there's a couple different ones out there. Originally, we used the step chart from the vanilla speed run to manipulate the encounter to always get what we call the D-machine grind or the alarm grind. And that's basically at the start the fight. And so it's just a searcher out there. You hit it, summons a monster. It's going to be a D-machine. You weak it, knock it out, maybe pop a life potion to get a life glitch. Rinse, lather, repeat until you feel you have enough experience. Generally, it's around 10 or so, based on the party that you have. Take out the searcher, massive amount of experience in one fight. There's also the giant grind, which is also in there, that came from a different tournament. And so we found different ways to manipulate that grind because we turned off can't run, which is one of the flags where you can't run from any random encounter. And well, when you're setting up the step chart, you have to run away from the same encounters. Well, some people have said, that's fine. We're going to find a different step chart to be able to get this grind encounter. Never deny the runners their grind. They will find a way.
It was kind of hilarious how fast that backup grind was found.
Oh, yeah. It took runners like a week and a half to come up with a new grind chart. It was just like, here's the new one. It's like,
oh, okay. We tried.
We got Johnny B here redoing music. Wonderful Xeno Saga-san done by Xenocat.
Oh, this is getting a little dicey. It's like maybe I thought I saw an hourglass, but all right, the nuke should get us through, but there are still 2 fights left in this.
Yeah, the last 2 are free in this one.
That's true.
The last 2 in this are the Tricker.
Oh, yeah.
Which,
all right, so
if you've been here since Kokkol Express, we mentioned Xenocat, who has a flag set. It's called, there's Lit 3 and then there's Tricker's Trials. The Tricker Trials are based on this Tricker. He says, hey, I'm weak against thunder.
What happens if you cast Thunder, Tibbles?
Very bad things. He will sit there and blitz your party with a bunch of thunder attacks. Because he has 12,000 HP. Your max damage is quad 9, so you can't take him out in one round.
I mean, he is weak against it. It's just, don't do it.
But finally to the free section of this gauntlet, you're gonna be rewarded with those 2 key items. John here has the darkness, is in go mode. Just got to get his levels and take on this wonderful alt gauntlet here.
Now,
It's amazingly long. Like, you weren't kidding.
yeah. And as mentioned earlier in chat, this is probably the tamest of the gauntlet fights. Oh, jeez.
Wow. Magma and the pass.
That is such a rude pass.
It is, but here let's think about this. We have.
Oh, that's not a key item, is it?
It's not a key item. The pass does not count as a key item. We have the pass. We have a way to Z. We can check things like the giant, Luca, and use the pass instead of walking all the way back down here, trying to find that Leviathan.
Ooh,
There's Mom Bomb. Gonna fight it. Gonna look for that 10th key item. Wants that experience boost.
And that's what's so rude about that is, again, you're thinking, okay, cool. 2 potential key items. I can do my grind. I can get an objective. And one of them turns out to not be a key item. So we are not at the 10 key item boost yet.
Feels so bad.
Oh. Now, you'll see what John Burkett's doing is immediately going to K value. Didn't look like, didn't stop for the into the lunar shop. So he doesn't know that sirens are literally right there. But this might be a Leviathan check.
Yeah, it's a boss sprite that you can see. He's probably just going to look, reset out, and then go from there. Because it's something that's visible on the overworld. You can see which boss is there and plan from there.
And then you go to the lunar shop, find the sirens, and you just sigh.
Well, you got to walk down to the ribbon room, so you're going to walk past the floor to grind, or actually, no.
Ooh. Oh.
Johnny B doing a very interesting grind here. He's doing what we call a behemoth grind, so it doesn't require any sirens. There are 3 tiles in cave value here that will always, if it's a forced encounter, it's always going to be a behemoth. You step on a tile, you get in a fight. They give a boatload of experience. I think the 10 key is like 156,000. So it's just huge.
The downside of the behemoth is it hits like a Mack truck. So that's why Johnny is using the blink attack or the blink spell, which means you dodge a pair of hits.
Yeah, you dodge 2.
So we noticed Tall Grant did get the Baron key. Still not there yet because, again, doesn't have the rat tail, doesn't know where the Leviathan is. So we are checking the last boss encounter that you'd find in the game before you go to the final boss, which is the Ogopogo altar. Maybe we'll see a palette swap Ogo? Maybe we'll see Leviathan? Maybe? That's not... Nope.
It's going to be a little painful, but not too painful. We can survive this. Fu will survive as long as we get a Cure 3 off on him.
Yeah, so this fight, it's another scripted boss fight where, again, Dark Knight uses 3 attacks that... Nope. We'll use 3 attacks, and if anybody is alive and you have not damaged him with direct damage, DKC just says, nah, fam, I'm out. Something, justice, goodbye.
Yeah, justice is not the only right in this world. It'll actually tell you if you actually physically attack him, he will say, you must not fight now.
But this spot gives a decent amount of XP, so might be, and especially now that we have the 10th key item, it's going to give that 10 key item boost. So I can see the logic behind this. I think we switched to a Wyvern standard time here.
Wyvern standard time being BS6, it makes the time in between enemy actions and your time a little bit longer till you have more time to put inputs. Makes fights go a lot longer, but sometimes you have to turn on WSC to be able to get through a fight.
You can see that's pretty much what's happening here. We will be able to get through the fight now with Fusoya. More than enough HP. Unfortunately now, right now Fu's the only one that's going to be getting the XP because everybody else...
Rosa's
besides Rosa, that's true because Rosa does collect that. Is it going to get off in time? I don't...
He's got 1108. He had 11. Yeah, he had 1108.
Well, no, I'm wondering if that life pot's going to pop in time. I don't know.
No, the life pot would have to go before the script, the text speech.
That's unfortunate. But let's see what we get here. Oh,
they have what on? They have what on? Did I miss that?
Wait, hold on. Hold, please. Yeah, okay. So, all right. So, Kara, I have a question for you.
Sure. Hit me.
If you're doing a randomizer, would you like a set of armor that makes you basically unstoppable?
I mean, that sounds like something I would love, yes.
Cool, that's what our wonderful runner just got.
Oh, excellent. I
armor.
love this.
Yeah, so Tolerant just picked up a piece of equipment called the Adamant Armor. It gives plus 15 to all stats, gives you a huge amount of physical defense, and also gives you elemental resistance, so you take like 1 from all magic attacks. So it's just really good armor. And yes, it is actually in the vanilla game. It's just extremely hard to get.
Oh, yeah, we're going to tell this story now.
The reason it's extremely hard to get is it requires you to take on what's called the Pink Puffs. Now, the Pink Puffs are in the room just north of where Tall Grant is right now. It's one little room. The Pink Puff is the rarest encounter, so it's a 1 in 64 to get that encounter. Then, once you fight them, you have to get the drop from them, and that's a 1 in 64 bit. 1 in 64 to get the drop. And then on top of that, it's a 1 in 64 to actually get the adamant. So you can see on how rare this adamant armor, but in vanilla, it's the pink tail, is to get. Now, all of that logic is still in Free Enterprise. You can still get an adamant armor from the Pink Puffs. I have actually proven this on a restream.
Now, before we get into that, there's another meme within the Free Enterprise community in that if you are a restreamed runner during a race on the Free Enterprise channel, you do a Pink Puff fight and you get the adamant to drop. That's it. Show's over. Free Enterprise ends and we never stream again. Now,
wait, that sounds terrible.
Exactly. So the setup is we were doing a race on RPG Limit Break's channel. Tybalt was one of the featured runners. Tybalt, continue the story.
It's something I do. Me and Fire were racing in a race against each other, and I knew I was gonna lose anyway. So I will still do. I'll pop a siren in that pink puff room, summon some pink puffs just to give a show off to chat. And I got the drop.
So we were, aside from the channel, we almost, Free Enterprise almost stopped existing that day. So you can thank Tybalt for that.
So yeah, it was a fun, interesting story where I was like, I'm gonna get a bunch of experience, and then maybe, just maybe, wait, we're on the wrong channel, gets the drop.
I got a DM in like cruise control levels of caps lock. Just to say, get over to RPG Limit Break, and my head's going, what? Wait, what? Huh? Why? And then, you know that moment where like you hear your own gears turning, and then the light turns on. As soon as I was like, oh no, you didn't.
First item in the game, that's me.
Oh gosh, there are some wild things that can happen in Free Enterprise. And that was one of them.
I think when John was having issues with DKC, we ended up missing what was a cave value there. He warped out of it, took the last behemoth, and then just left.
I do not see a new item ticked
so
off on the...
don't see a boss, so it's probably not a boss that's required, so it's not Leviathan.
Yeah.
Which is the one we're looking for at this point for Tall Grant. Now, if Leviathan's here, it's just the dolls. That's checking. You should, when you get to the last actual behemoth encounter, you should be able to see it.
Well, I think at this point, John's probably like, I'm on the moon. I know where the ribbon room is. I doesn't know where the gauntlet is yet. About to find out, but that said, basically, that's fine. I just go to the ribbon room, collect my crystal, and go right into the final boss. Wait, there's who now? Mm-hmm. Okay.
So John's actually about to pass that. So that little doorway there to the right is where the pink puff room is.
Yep.
So it's one little area that you can get those pink puffs in. But yeah, originally, as we have mentioned in chat for Postmorpheus, the ribbon room gives about 200,000 experience with 10 key items. So it's great experience. But the all gauntlets in there, so it's going to be even more.
Mm-hmm. Now, Tall Grant's probably sweating right now. Still looking for that rat tail, still looking for Leviathan, and at this point, if you're in that situation, you are now hard thinking, where haven't I gone? What haven't I seen? Oh no. Because in a flag set that's about an hour and a half, and you're sitting at about an hour 13, at this point you're thinking your opponent or opponents are either in no mode, or at a minimum at no mode. So now panic sets in.
I'm like, oh no.
I love that reaction. That reaction from John is a mood. Every single runner that has had to deal with a required gauntlet, that reaction right there, that is all of us.
Yep. It feels so bad when you see it as a runner, just like, oh no. Unless you're gambling like me, and then you go, oh no, all right, fine.
Let's do it. Because it's one of those, again, 5 out of 6 objectives. You're looking at this and going, okay, this is going to take a while. Has my opponent found Leviathan yet? Yeah. Because, oh no, if they have.
Is me doing this check going to take longer than me to find Leviathan?
Yep.
I don't have access to every single boss spot right now. I don't have Baron Key, so I've got 3 bosses there I don't have access to.
Giant,
which is another 2 spots. So it's like, I've got 5 spots, 3 spots I don't have, 2 spots I don't have access to, and the third one I've seen at the beginning, but does anybody remember what it was there in the beginning?
Sprite?
I think it was a sparkle. I think it was a sparkle at the beginning. But you see, you're an
think
hour and a
so,
half,
too.
hour 10 in, hour 20, you forget what the first boss you ever saw was.
Everything is blending at this point. Oh, that's a nice useless carrot right there.
And as Possum's mentioning in chat here, this is a blessing for John because Rose is going to hit, around 28 agility. As we mentioned a little bit about agility, about RA1 for our party, our agility also can work negatively to the enemy as well. So we want to hit certain breakpoints if we can't make everybody in our party RA1. Those breakpoints are 28 agility, 42, 56. And what that does is it actually reduces the amount of turns the enemy will get. So when it comes to the final boss as Aromas for a 28 agility, cool, the enemy is going to be slower than us. We're going to get more turns, be able to do more damage before he does damage to us.
Now, I do want to preface chat. Chat, you look like a smart chat.
They are.
I believe you.
They
are a very
know
smart chat.
a lot more than you would expect. I mean, Asuka, you know this. You've seen this firsthand.
They're a good chat. Very, very intelligent chat. And John Burkhead's getting the crystal, so now he has access to the final boss. When we get to the final boss, there's going to be a question that's asked. Now, as we're explaining the question when we get there, you are to type, not right now, but when we get there, a Z and then a question mark. So, that'll make sense, but not quite yet. I just want to make sure you're prepped.
Talgrant just found Leviathan that gave value. John.
Oh, no.
It.
Oh, no. So.
This is actually something that... Talgrant has the pass. He can leave the moon, go directly to Troy, and go directly there. John's got to do a little bit of walking, not much. This is still, anybody's game. The final boss, Romus, is not to be trifled with.
No.
Even at this skill level, runners can still wipe the final boss. If John takes a wipe or two, it could easily go over to Talgrant.
Uh-huh. Oh, so... Ooh. This is why you check things.
Uh-huh. So as John's going down here towards Romus, the final boss, we've randomized some shops, we randomized the characters, the palettes of the characters, the bosses, their locations. One thing we decided to also randomize, the one boss we couldn't randomize is Romus. He's too powerful for us to randomize. So instead, what we ended up doing is we change who the boss actually is here at the end. That's Romus. So, Derek, can you figure out what the question is we actually have to ask here?
Me or Kiara?
What is the name of the boss after Z? Question mark?
Kind of. Again, chat again. Start typing those Z question marks. Because the question is, once we toss the crystal, we find out what that sprite is going to turn into.
Here, I'll help with some of my emotes I have here. I've got some good emotes for it.
The big question now becomes, whose butt are we about to kick tonight?
It's going to be Golbez again.
So, over 600 Z sprites here.
Zero
Lord. Huge amount done by one of the previous admins, Scala Kitty. Did a lot of this art, had board ported into the game.
What?
Oh my goodness.
What?
This is a new one to me, even.
New one to me, too.
Who is this? What is this?
5.
Danger.
Video game. So there always comes a time when a whole bunch of people start opening Google. Not adding myself right now.
Danger 5.
It's a wild or Rotato Danger 5. Yeah, it's a looks like a Vampire Survivors-esque game. Rotato. Or just a Danger 5. All right.
Oh, so as we see John here doing some directed casts here, throwing out some darts here. what we've got going on here is a little bit of what we call a hybrid strat. So what's wrong with here? He has 65,000 HP, but he does have a script that once he hits around 20,000 HP in his remaining life, you direct cast a spell or physically hit him, he will refill his health back up to max, giving him a total of about 128,000 HP. However, what we can do to short that is if we reflect our last couple spells before that break point, we can skip that refill and only have to do 65,000 worth of damage to take out the final boss.
And side note to our producer, time will be when there is a audible crack and a visual flash on the screen, which it's going to be coming up fairly soon. So,
Well, I'm listening here.
yeah, it's probably the next maybe one or two nukes.
Yeah, 1 or 2 nukes it's going to be.
Gosh, so close.
Yeah, super close race. 2 different paths.
I love when a rando can set that up where, you take 2 completely different paths to victory.
Ooh,
Rosa should get a
Shake should be fine. Yeah,
Z's already
It should
too.
be.
So, and there's a
yeah,
white.
it's more of a precautionary careful.
Yeah, in case this big bang comes out, but we're already 2Z, so this white should come out.
This should do
Probably
it.
no flash, but there's going to be a snap, crackle, boom here. Probably coming in shortly. That is time for Tall
That is
Grant.
time.
Or not
No,
Tall Grant,
that's-
Johnny B. Johnny B.
That is John B.
Johnny B
If we
keeps the
go-
title.
Oh, so close. I was really pulling for Tall Grant there. What a valiant.
Well, Tall Grant is not far behind.
Yeah, well, guys, like I mentioned, if Johnny B had actually wiped in that fight, it would have turned the table over to Tall Grant.
But
And that's
So-
just the chaos that is routing.
for sure. But, Don gets to hold on to the belt, defending his title here on Game Masters.
And we are joined in the booth here with Johnny B. GG's.
GG's.
Gonna look on that one. A lot happened.
I'm gonna be the jerk. Can I be the jerk?
Please.
Hey John,
Yes, Oscar.
did you look at K Value, the boss?
No.
So Tall Grant did. Would you like to know what the boss was?
With the Leviathan.
Yep.
Oh my god.
True story. Tall Grant doesn't have the rat tail. So
Oh my god.
Tall Grant was super, super far behind and then checked cave value. And it is... Tall Grant's in Z right now. That fight is winding down.
Listen, it's 12:35 in the morning over here. All right. I teach small children all day. I'm tired. Clearly
It's
should
all
have checked
good.
that. My goodness.
Definitely heck of a race between 20. I know you got underground about 30, 32 minutes, which is around an average time to get underground. I mean, how are you feeling with some of the early looting you got there with the party?
Oh, I felt terrible. I felt awful with the routing because I was on the fence between, so you get foo and it's like, all right, go ahead and just, get your spells. And I was between doing Ordeals and Baron. And sometimes that Baron 2 spot can be kind of a pain in the butt. So I was like, all right, let's go to Ordeals first. And then it was a Asura fight that I thought I could time out the life lock, but with the delay on the Ice 2 plus not being anchored, it was like, so that didn't go well at all. And then it was Val. And I was like, I could, just, no, we're not doing this. So then to go to Baron Inn to get not only Virus, but also Edge, who had a mute knife and could have darted through the Val, I was like, oh my goodness gracious, like, this is horrible. this is absolutely horrendous. And then I was debating, like, maybe I don't check Shield 1 in case one of these things could be the pan. I'll check Shield 1. And then the pan's there. It's like, okay, all right, game. Okay, cool. And then feeling pretty smart, right? I'll go ahead and do a little behemoth grind. And apparently missed Leviathan, strike 1. And then on top of that, I didn't check the shot for sirens.
That's time for Tall Grant.
GG's, bud.
Tall Grant.
So I don't know if there were sirens in that shop.
There were sirens.
There were sirens.
Right. So that would have saved a lot of time. And then on top of that, it was the gauntlet. So I didn't even need the time. So
Yeah, let's ask both of you since you're both here. First off, GG's.
GG's, buddy.
Again,
Thank
Tall
you,
Grant as
GG,
well.
John. Congrats on the win.
So let's
Thanks,
let's talk about that ribbon room.
I panicked and forgot I could use hourglasses.
I just saw that smile on John's face the entire time. It's like, yep, we've been there.
I was mostly prepared for it, but if I just thought to throw that hourglass during the third fight, I wouldn't have taken the 2 wipes I did there.
And then, so Grant, you get underground at 25 minutes just blitzing through that early game. You get underground, like what was going through your mind? Like you have, the party that you have and you're underground. You had that Fey March. You did Dwarf early on.
Yeah,
What's kind of going through your mind for the routing?
I was really happy with the start. Was really happy with the party. I don't mind taking Edward, especially because if he gets Spoon, he turns into a beast like he did. And when Fusoya got nuked that quickly, it made up for the only real bad feeling in the overworld was that Valvalis. But once I got underground, it was kind of, that's where the seed opens up. There's a lot more options, and it was kind of the hunt for the darkness crystal. And I liked most of my routing and most of the play up until I forgot that Zot was an objective. I walked over I finished the harp check, which I'm not sure I would have done if I'd remembered Zot was an objective, so it worked out well for me. But then I headed out with the darkness and said, wait a second, go do your objective, took care of it, and then just started clearing the moon. I was honestly fairly happy with how most of it went right up until I had those 2 wipes in the ribbon room, and that was just a tired, boneheaded mistake. But it happens sometimes, and you recover and do the best you can after it.
So one of the questions there, we saw you kind of doing some calculations. Were you calculating the going to Keyless Tower at all?
I thought about it. I don't like that Rubicant boss at the top of it. Even with Nuke on Fusoya, that can be an unpleasant fight if he throws glare in the wrong spot. So unless I was going to see the tower key, I wasn't planning to head that way. Did it have Rat Tail?
It had Rat Tail.
It had Rat Tail. Well, and here's the funny thing that we both of you basically had that type of check where John did some siren grinds in Cave Value, but didn't check the boss.
Hey, buddy.
So one of you had the Rat Tail, one of you had the Leviathan.
What?
And it made things so close. I mean, it just, as soon as you found Leviathan, it was, this just got
John,
spicy.
how much you beat me by, bro?
Let's go.
I'm at 121.16.
Yeah, those 2 wipes cost me. 124.08 is what I got on my end of it, but it's a lot of fun. And honestly, the real joy of this is winning and losing the belt. It's the fact we get to race and play together, and that's kind of the joy that we've gotten with this randomizer. It's a chance for us to play this game and share it and have fun together.
I just want to mention something. I missed this in the flex set when I was reading it. I didn't realize that adamant armors were on in this flex
That has
set.
been a feature since the beginning. We all loved Adamant Cup, which was a tournament flag set that revolved around adamant armor, and we like that high-risk, high-reward for looting for stuff. So yeah, there's a lot of fun to be had with those.
Yeah, I was really thinking about, because you have stone on Fu, right? Like, how long will it really take? But it seems, it's a matter of, like, what do you want, what do you need? And when you have food early, I'm like, do you need an adamant armor? No, it was fun, sure. But did you find one?
Yeah, PKC at the Masamune altar had it.
Oh.
Yeah, I full cleared the moon.
Oh. Wow, okay. Jeez.
Yeah, I went to Cape Bahamut last. I did everything else first.
We did wildly different things.
Well, I kind of also am a little bit bitter. I'm a very mathy kind of player, and I missed Nuke on Palom because Calbrena was at the Crystal Sword.
Oh, gross.
Well, it's like, and what did you, because you, what were your thoughts when you're finishing the gauntlet and you're saying, okay, we get 2 key items, and one of them is the pass. So you're stuck at 9 key items.
I kind of was expecting that, frankly. I've done these enough where you do that and you're stuck at 8 or something dumb like that. I knew if I could get my crystal, I'd get to 10, but I thought with the other altars up in that area, I'd have a good chance of getting there and then just try to push Palom. There's a special strategy, I don't know if you saw Burkhead do it, called Fu and Friends, where you take Fusoya and let him do Nuke and let his people with him, as long as they have about 1,200 hit points, can play all kinds of silly games with Zeromus and Reflect. But it's not something I'm well versed in, so I was happy just to push up to, big kill strats like we did.
We grinded and then did second grind at the ribbon room. Apparently unnecessarily so.
No, I waited. I took
the ever fun
I took
second
ribbon
grind.
pre-grind.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. It was were you hoping to get the 9th and 10th
Yes,
key
before.
items, and that's why you
I
stuck
get
to
that
them
done before I did the grind and just see how long it was.
Gotcha.
One of the worst feelings in the world is to grind before Ribbon Room, and then you walk into it, and then you have like 15 more checks afterward, and you get the experience anyway. So
Gotcha.
once I have 10 key items, I'm sure you guys talked about the experience doubler. That makes it a lot more profitable to be grinding and spending the time. Before that, it's a lot of time investment for not as many levels. And I felt like with Fusoi, I could have carried it. And yeah, that gauntlet was one of the things I was less equipped to deal with, but it happens.
No, all in all, it was a fantastic show of gameplay from both of you. It's when we say that it's high-level gameplay that you watch, that is very much the case here. These are two fantastic runners, and Tybalt as well as a fantastic runner. Like, y'all are super knowledgeable, super amazing. And again, Chad, if you are interested in learning about free enterprise, these three, they love helping new people. Some of our friends in the free enterprise community that are in chat right now love helping new people. So definitely check out the free enterprise website.
Yep.
Or the Discord, which I just put in the chat.
Check out the Discord.
There we go. Let's go.
Check out the Discord channel. Just post in there, and we'll find and help you.
Link there, and then we would need Richard to post the link in there. Nothing. We just have links turned off.
Oh.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. It's all good. But yeah, Eva4 FBI. I imagine there are links to things on the website. That everybody can go to. So just head over there, chat. Tall Grants, John, thank you so much for coming in to do this. I hope you all had. I hope you all had fun. John, thank you so much for being willing to bring in a whole bunch of other people as well. So a big shout outs to Asuka for kind of like bringing the FF4 FB community together for this. So thank you, Asuka, for that. It's greatly appreciated. This is a wonderful showcase. Congrats on keeping your belts, John.
For now,
Yeah.
it's
For now.
the skin of my teeth.
For now, that was super exciting.
I spent the first 15-20 minutes of the race wondering like if people thought I was like serious when we were doing our little smack talk routine, and I was like, oh god, I hope people don't think that's how we actually are. No, this is
That's what I get. Usually people are so nice.
yeah. I mean, we've even had like a free enterprise get together like at my actual house the past couple of years. Like, I just love this community so much, and I'm just so grateful to Asuka for reaching out and for GDQ for allowing us to show just what a wonderful randomizer community this is. So just thank you all so very, very much.
Yeah, make sure to follow not only our wonderful runners. I'm so bad at pronouncing your last name, John.
It's John Burkhead.
Johnny B.
I keep on like mixing it around in my head. It's like, okay, John Brickhead. It's like, no, it's not Brickhead, Burkhead. Okay, I got it. I finally got there after so much time. After an entire show and like 2 weeks talking to you all, I finally got it.
It's fine.
But yes, please follow both of our runners. Of course, Asuka424, the one and only, who is just absolutely fantastic and just fun to be around. And Tybalt, we can't forget about you. Thank you for the incredible commentary the entire time. Chat, you can see Tybalt right there, Tybalt 2010 in the Twitch chat. Click on that name and hit that follow button. Do it. I'll be angry. I'm not actually going to be angry. I may be a little sad, but follow me. No, you're not allowed to say that. You're not allowed to follow me.
I take that opinion and go.
Okay, fine. Well, you know what? It's fine. Yeah. It's up to chat. I am not going to link my stream in the GDQ Twitch chat. But if you would like to follow me, sure, Kiara_TV on Twitch. We do stuff. We play games. SM64 is my current jam. A little bit different from this, but I want to tell you, Tall Grants, and John Burkhead. Yes, I did it. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy. Tybalt and Asuka. I have been an attendee or staff for Limit Break going since 2018, and I always see, especially recently, FF4 free enterprise happening, and every single year I tell myself I'm going to do it, and I really, really want to make it actually happen soon. So I may be reaching out to you, to y'all. It's like, hey, Want to do some hand holding here? Teach me the ropes. Give me the lessons, and we'll see how I can do. I'd love to do
Great.
that.
That'd be fun.
So
We'll be watching for
but-
you, and anybody else out there who wants to play, we'll be happy to help you. So it's our
See,
pleasure.
now that I've said it on the show,
You have to do it.
I had to do it because otherwise they'd be like, oh gosh, remember Kiara making all these false promises that she's going to do something? It's like, oh my God, so pathetic, right? No, now my pride is, my reputation is at stake. I've put it on the line by announcing it here on the stream. But yes, I don't want to keep you all up. It is quite late, usually by the end of our slot 2 shows here. So, again, thank you all so much. This was so much fun. Just a super nice, chill evening for everyone. Nice, fun, friendly race. It's funny always trying to. Everybody's so nice, so it's like, how do you do a wrestling promo when you're so freaking nice all the time? But we're gonna close out here. Just want to remind everybody that if you missed out on the horror speedrun showcase or on Game Masters today, stay tuned as we're going to be replaying both shows back to back after this. So tune